It kicks off on a skyscraper rooftop dead of night. High stakes. Stardust, our top-tier heroine, corners the bad guy, telling him it's game over. The guy egotistic. Instead of fighting, he claps back with praise, hyping up her performance, saying it's exactly what he expected from his #1 rival. Stardust isn't having it though. She shuts him down, calling him a piece of trash. Egotistic backs up to the ledge, casual as you like. He muses on how she's always crashed his parties. But sadly, the show ends tonight. She's leveled up too much. He can't toy with her anymore. Stardust is confused, but Egotistic drops the bombshell. This is their final curtain call. Then flashing a wicked smile, he leans back and lets gravity take the wheel. Stardust lunges, desperation written all over her face. She refuses to let him go, which makes our main guy wonder, why the obsession? Rewind the tape. Let's jump back a few years. Before he was egotistic, he was bummed out because this new world looked exactly like Seoul. Meet Kim Dane, 22 years young. Suddenly, boom, an explosion rocks the streets. A B-rank villain gets absolutely wrecked by a squad of heroes. Kim realizes this isn't his soul. Here, capes and superpowered villains are just another Tuesday. He got isekai'd straight into the superhero comic Stardust, named after the main heroine herself. And his choice, become the villain strictly for her sake. His earpiece buzzes. Someone asking for a status report. Kim chills, saying he just warped in and suggests they take a breather. Here's the kicker, he's an S-rank villain. His partner can't wrap their head around how chill he is about hunting down other bad guys. Kim reminds Han that's the partner to trust the process. It's all part of the master plan. Using his meta-knowledge of the original plot, he knows these small fry villains turn into major threats. And he's not about to let those scumbags traumatize his absolute favorite character Stardust a second time. So he's spawn camping them while they're weak. Han signals the target is stationary. It's go time. Kim grabs his gear, thankful he rolled the perfect stats to pull off this heist. First skill, teleportation. Second, telekinesis. He locks onto the A-rank villain with terrifying precision. Looking like a boss, he bids farewell and permanently uninstalls the guy from reality. On the table, blueprints for a mall. This creep was plotting a massive terror attack. The target was Rhino, a future S-rank heavy hitter in the story's second act. A total psycho in a rhino mask who was destined to crush hundreds of innocent lives. Han interrupts neighbors called the cops and the Hero Association. Because of the noise, he's got 5 minutes to vanish. Kim appreciates the heads up, even if Han weirdly demands he pick up a melon on the way home. Before dipping, Kim carves a message on the glass for Stardust. Moments later, she gets the intel. Villain Rhino is down. The MO matches. The same mystery player who took out the A-rank villain Zodiac. Ghosted again, 0 traces left behind, except for a bloody message explicitly dedicated to her. That message triggers her. She is furious and vows to hunt him down, no matter the cost. The internet goes wild. Forums are buzzing, calling him a dark hero since he only targets the bad guys. But for Kim, this is a disaster. It's actually driving him insane. Han tells him to quit whining. We find out Han is actually a genius woman with IQ off the charts. Kim explains the issue. Civilians are thanking him. They like the vigilante act. At this rate, his villain cred is tanking. Even worse, it might make Stardust look incompetent. She's supposed to be the one taking out the trash. To fix this, he needs to rebrand as a legitimate threat in the public eye. He tells Han to prep for Phase 2. She asks for the schedule. It's time for the official debut of Egotistic. They raid the armory, grabbing guns and dynamite like they're shopping for groceries. Cut to a crowded skyscraper. Egotistic hijacks every public screen. He introduces himself with flair, admitting he's the one who deleted those previous villains. But tonight, he points to the massive structure behind him. Panic sets in as viewers realize they're locked in. Nobody can change the channel. While one hostage clocked that they were trapped in Tower 127, Egotistic flipped the script, flashing the feed of Building 61. His message was clear. Both skyscrapers are sitting on a massive pile of C4. Panic instantly swept through the hostages like wildfire. But even as the adrenaline kicked in and they scrambled for the exits, the elevators were dead, and every terrified expression was being live-streamed by dozens of cameras trained right on them. Egotistic officially kicks off the game, taunting Soul's protector to come stop him. But here's the twist. Stardust was already closing in. Egotistic immediately starts checking his fit, making sure his villain drip is absolutely flawless. The guy is literally shaking, not from fear, but because he's finally about to meet his ultimate bias in the flesh. Stardust sticks the superhero landing crashing into the scene. Her aura alone leaves Kim totally starstruck. This A-rank heroine hits way different in real life than in the comics. She's so stunning that Kim's brain short-circuits and the two just stand there in silence. Flashback time. Kim remembers waking up in this universe battered and bloody in some random alleyway. To make matters worse, he had zero clue where he was. It wasn't until he stumbled out and saw a massive Stardust billboard that the realization hit him. He'd been isekai'd right into the world of his favorite comic. Originally, he planned to grind his way up as a hero to stand by her side. But after analyzing the plot, he realized playing the good guy wouldn't be enough to save her, so he chose the villain route to protect her from the shadows. Stardust glares at him like he's trash, but as she moves in, he freezes her with a detonator switch. One more step and the skyline goes boom. But before the standoff continues, we cut to Kim, back in his world at 15 binging movies. He always thought the villain in that specific film was a total psycho, so he decided to method act that exact persona to get under Stardust's skin. And honestly, he nailed it. Even though she's fuming, she's completely checkmated. The reason Stardust didn't just speed blitz him, simple. A few minutes ago, he read her like a book. He bluffed that he's got a partner hidden away with a backup detonator ready to flip the switch. He advised her to drop the tough guy act, asking how she likes this chaotic stage he built just for her. Stardust demands he let the civilians walk, promising that if he complies, she'll go easy on the beatdown before arresting him. Surprisingly, Egostic agrees, announcing he'll release everyone, as a favor to the heroine, and suddenly unlocks the elevator hacks. Stardust knows this feels way too easy, and right before the civilians can hit the buttons, Egostic drops the bomb figuratively. He says letting them go now would be a total snooze fest. Here's the kicker: the moment they press that button, the bombs in the other building will detonate. Plus, every single explosive is set to blow in exactly 30 minutes anyway, so their only survival option is to choose to blow up the strangers across the street. To him, it's an easy choice. Who cares about people you don't know, right? Stardust curses him out for being a heartless monster, while Egostic declares that today the world will witness the absolute peak of human selfishness. Inside one tower, the cracks are already showing. People are screaming to blow up the other building, terrified that if they hesitate, the 30-minute timer will wipe them all out. But naturally, there are others fighting back, refusing to mass murder strangers just to survive. The arguments are getting heated, and someone screams out asking what the hell the hero is doing. Stardust knows rushing him is pointless, because if that backup switch is real, everyone dies anyway. Trembling with rage, she asks if playing with lives is just a game to him. Egostic replies that it's not about fun. He wants to test Stardust's limits, seeing as she's one of the few A-rankers in South Korea who actually believes in justice. Truth is, he respects her more than anyone. Stardust blushes, totally confused by the sudden switch up. In his tone, we see that Kim just wanted to hype her up while the whole country is watching. Still, he mocks her, saying seeing someone so powerful look so helpless is weirdly inspiring. But he's got a good news plot twist. He's giving her a shot to join the game. He patches her audio through to the desperate hostages, waiting for a savior. The deal: if she can convince those terrified crowds not to touch the buttons for the full 30 minutes, he promises the bombs won't go off. Obviously, she thinks he's lying, but he reminds her it's a better gamble than standing there doing nothing. He snaps his fingers, focusing every camera on her, broadcasting her face to the entire nation. Stardust steels herself to speak to the hostages, playing right into Egostic's hand. He cements himself as the ultimate villain, setting the stage for Stardust to shine brighter than ever. Ella steps up to the mic, delivering a tearjerker of a speech, begging the crowd not to give in to the darkness. Her words hit home instantly, restoring their faith in humanity. As the clock ticks down, Egostic can't help but crack a grin, because that timer is inching towards zero. And guess what? Not a single soul has touched the elevator button. The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. Everyone's terrified, wondering if they'll actually survive. Egostic realizes it's showtime. He shouts out, feigning confusion, asking why these humans aren't tearing each other apart yet. Surely at least one of them should be a selfish monster like him, right? His performance is Oscar-worthy, but Stardust shuts him down. She claps back, telling him he's dead wrong about people. Sure, not everyone's a saint, but she still believes in the good within them. Egostic stays deep in character, accusing her of ruining his fun by uniting the hostages. With nothing left to do, he bids her farewell until their next little game. But Stardust isn't letting him walk away that easily. She lunges at him, catching him off guard. Her expression is blazing with way more righteous fury than he expected. He barely manages to teleport away before her fist connects. The crowd goes wild, cheering for their savior, Stardust. She just stares at her hand, frustrated. Meanwhile, Kim warps back to his hideout and collapses. His body is wrecked. The nasty downside of his teleportation powers: he takes damage equal to the distance traveled. He figures he's going to be bedridden for at least a couple of days. Han is right there to nag him again, telling him to ditch that fedora because it makes him look like a total loser villain. Kim begs for a glass of water, feeling like he's knocking on death's door. She storms off in a huff, telling him to crawl over and get it himself. Meanwhile, back at the scene, Stardust watches the survivors celebrating their lives, but she's still racking her brain. She can't fathom how anyone could toy with human emotions like that, and swears she'll nail him next time. Back at the lair, turns out Han brought him the water. After all, she's got a soft spot. Cut to the Hero Association, HQ. The brass is watching the news declare Agostic as South Korea's public enemy #1. They're scrambling because they know almost nothing about him. Their best guess, he's likely based in Seoul, and that creepy mask of his has high-tech perception-blocking features. President Park kicks off the debriefing on the recent chaos. They skip over the 2 dead villains since that's old news. One of the aides steps up to break down yesterday's incident. He lays it out, looks like those bombs were planted on the building's exterior way in advance. The guy definitely used his teleportation powers to prep the stage before anyone noticed. Analysis confirms the explosives were custom jobs packed with enough juice to level the whole structure. Park is skeptical. He can't believe Agostic built those alone. He asks about the broadcast hack. The aide shakes his head. Whoever hijacked the signal bypassed their state-of-the-art security like it was nothing. They've got no database records on any metahumans with transmission wave abilities. The only logical conclusion, Agostic has a partner, a tech wizard with elite skills. That same partner probably built the bombs too. Then there's the obsession factor. Agostic is fixated on Stardust. He left a message for her at a previous crime scene, and during this attack he was dropping way too much specific intel. President Park turns to Stardust, asking for her read on the guy. She doesn't mince words. He's a psychopath who gets off on manipulation and has the firepower for mass destruction. He's a textbook supervillain, plain and simple. Flash forward 2 days. Kim is still hurting, but he manages to drag himself out of bed. Han immediately yells at him for chugging juice, straight from the carton. He lies about using a glass, then remembers who he's dealing with. In the original webcomic, Han is a genius hacker destined to become an S-rank villain. She starts chewing him out, reminding him it's her house. He's acting like he owns the place. Kim fires back that he's the one funding this entire underground operation, so technically, they're square. Han ignores the logic and demands he stop drinking like a savage. Kim agrees, patting her head like a little sister. Suddenly, she grabs him and drags him to the command center. Something big is happening. She points to the screens and asks if he remembers Lee Subin. Kim nods. That's their third accomplice, the deep web fangirl, who's obsessed with him. Han pulls up a live feed. The followers of Agostic have launched a terror attack in Incheon, and they've taken hostages. Hostages and a bomb rigged to blow the whole building sky high. Kim is betting everything that Lee Subin is trapped in that mess. But Han drops a bombshell. She's not a victim, she's an accomplice. A shaky, nervous one, but still with them. And these guys, they aren't interested in talking. They just want to watch the world burn. Police reports confirm at least 3 bodies already on the floor. Plus, around 300 civilians are held captive inside. Kim is absolutely livid. He's got one golden rule: civilians are off limits. Looks like he's gonna have to go in there and take out the trash himself. Han is locked and loaded to assist. As for Lee Subin, he'll figure out her fate once he sees the situation with his own eyes. Meanwhile, Stardust is already on the scene, staring down the blazing inferno and begging HQ for the green light to engage. Denied. They tell her to hold her horses until the cops try one last negotiation. Stardust is confused. This screams Agostic, but it doesn't make sense. Usually this kind of chaos is reserved for villains with actual superpowers. But Agostic, he doesn't need powers. He's using straight-up explosives and a live stream just to get under her skin. It's a play to turn the public against her. Suddenly, HQ buzzes in Agostic has arrived, and the whole thing is trending live on YouTube. Stardust pulls up the stream instantly, and the chat is already exploding with comments. Inside, the masked goons train their guns on Kim, demanding he identify himself. But the realization hits them fast. Holy smokes, it's Agostic in the flesh. The criminals light up thinking the big boss is here to save their hides. Big mistake. Agostic is fuming mostly because his body is screaming in pain from that teleportation stunt. His death glare alone sends shivers down their spines. The tension spikes when Agostic bursts into maniacal laughter. Simultaneously, Han feeds him the intel. Guy by the pillar holds the detonator. With that target locked, he absolutely obliterates the guy to snatch the device. Savage. The other thugs panic, thinking he's a cop engaging in cosplay, and aim their weapons at him. But then, every single gun twists around in their hands, pointing right back at their owners. Telekinesis for the win. Agostic sneers, telling them he'd never have. Clueless morons like them as minions. Bam, all the criminals get taken out by their own weapons in a split second. The chat goes wild. Some think he's a twisted hero, while others aren't buying the good guy act. Back outside, the Hero Association finally gives Stardust the go-ahead. Save the hostages, capture Agostic. She doesn't hesitate and charges into the building. Meanwhile, Lee Subin is still holding a gun, trembling while Han updates Kim, confirming that the girl was dragged into this nightmare against her will. She didn't hurt anyone. Agostic steps up and rips off her mask, revealing Lee Subin's tear-streaked face. She's a mess, just repeating, "I messed up," over and over. Agostic cuts her off cold. "Keep crying and I'll blow your head off." That shuts her up real quick. Then Kim turns to the terrified hostages and actually apologizes. Even though he didn't plan this, he feels responsible for these copycat psychos using his brand. Everyone is stunned. A villain. Apologizing. He drops another bombshell. He's paying them for their trouble. And for the families of the 3 victims, maximum financial compensation. Then it hits him: digital paper trail. The cops could track the money transaction. But he figures Han is a wizard. She'll scrub the data. Speaking of Han, she's screaming in his ear to grab the girl and bail immediately. Kim follows orders, scooping the girl onto his shoulder like a sack of potatoes. But walking, it's pure agony. His body is still protesting the teleportation with every step. Just his luck, boom, something crashes into the building with the force of a freight train. It's Stardust making an entrance. Cut to the next day at Yeonji University. A student is scrolling through news reports about the hostages actually getting their hush money. That student is Haru Stardust's secret identity. She's having flashbacks to crashing that party yesterday and locking eyes with Agostic. She launched herself at him for the takedown, but he dodged her like a pro. Truth is, he didn't dodge. His legs just gave out from the pain. By the time she recovered to strike again, he was gone. Poof. Vanished. Just thinking about it gives her a migraine. Her friend and senior, Chae Yoon, guesses the coursework is stressing her out. Haru waves it off, claiming she just spaced out for a second. Here's the kicker: she uses a high-tech perception filter when she suits up as Stardust. It keeps her identity safe, so nobody knows the city's savior is just a college kid. But lately one problem is living rent-free in her head. Agostic is spiraling, totally obsessed with why he even bothered saving those civilians. Chae-yoon pulls at her cheek to snap her out of the trance, telling her to quit with the long face. To fix the mood, she treats her to mango bingsu, the ultimate comfort food, and Haru's absolute favorite. Suddenly, Ghost's image flashes in her mind. Haru's face darkens, realizing not even sweet mango can fix this mess. Her rage boils over until snap, she crushes her pen. She just can't believe that guy is living rent-free in her head. Just another reason to hunt him down. Eventually, they dig into the dessert and Chae-yoon thinks Haru actually looks kinda adorable. Meanwhile, across town, Agostic leads Lee Subin to a seemingly average house. But he points out a hidden mechanism near the entrance that reveals a secret door. Once inside, they step into an elevator where he punches in the code. They descend dozens of floors underground. Welcome to the ego base. Han snaps at him to stop naming her house without asking, but Kim hits back with, "What's yours is mine." Trying to act cool, he leans back and smashes his knee against the special bed. Ouch, Han suggests. He cut the act and just rest. Kim begs for a break. Teleporting with a passenger is twice as draining. He's wondering why he even recruited her, but right now, this fatigue recovery pod feels like heaven. He shoots a thumbs up, a random gesture that leaves her totally confused. Just then, Lee Subin wanders in and sweetly asks Kim if he wants a snack. He's floored. She went shopping casually while being a wanted criminal. She claims her bangs hit her face, which honestly makes her look even sketchier. Han drops everything to grab her. Malona ice cream. Kim realizes the truth. Han only called the rookie to run errands. He calls her out on it. Han claims she needed help, but Kim fires back that maybe she should have called before the girl committed a crime. He vents his worry that this unstable kid might just snap and shoot up the place. Han shuts him down, clarifying she's not like that. Those guys dragged her into it against her will. Lee Subin panics, realizing they know her name. Han reveals she knows everything. Her parents were researchers at the Yanan group. Personal intel that terrifies Subin. Han explains she saw her web posts and doxed her easily because her security blocker was full of holes. She also knows about the vendetta, since Subin posted threats against Yeonjun for what they did to her parents. Ironically, Han is also hunting Yeonjun leaders to settle some personal scores. She won't stop until they're crushed, and she asks if Subin wants in. Kim is stunned. Lee Subin is a Yeonjun victim just like Han. He managed to convince Han by promising revenge, but his real motive was stopping Subin from becoming a future S-rank villain. As for Lee Subin herself, he doesn't remember her from the original canon, meaning she was a total background character, proving she's harmless. Suddenly, the two girls start sobbing in each other's arms, bonding over their shared trauma. Kim didn't see that coming. Han's tough exterior completely melted. Still, it's not a bad sight. He decides to drift off and give them some space. Downtown in a restaurant, a woman is sobbing because some creep is forcing her to stay. The guy scolds her for ruining his appetite, acting like his creepy crush is harmless. A cop steps in, responding to an assault report to drag him to the station. But the guy tells them to beat it, since he's in the middle of a meal. The cop grabs his shoulder to arrest him, but suddenly the guy emits a red glow. In the blink of an eye, the officer is standing on the roof of a skyscraper. Up there, the aggressor kicks him off the ledge, warning the police to think twice before messing with him. Meet Jackal, an A-rank villain with teleportation powers. Cut to another scene showing Han's fate in the original storyline. By this point, she was commanding dragons and fighting head-to-head against Stardust. Back then, she was known as the White Witch, wielding S-rank power. Back in the present, Han is chewing Kim out for drinking all the orange juice, her favorite. By the way, she's currently 16 years old. Lee Subin interrupts to confess she drank it all and promises to buy more. Mystery solved. Han didn't even drop a scolding. Instead, she pulls Lee Subin into a tight hug, signaling she vibes with the girl because, well, trauma recognizes trauma. Kim walks in, sees the embrace, and instantly kills the mood. He throws shade, joking that Han finally quit the whole pretending to be a dude act. Han. Yeah, she did not appreciate that roast. A few minutes later, Kim's brain starts jogging. He remembers Han isn't just rocking superintelligence. She's literally a walking miracle, the only survivor of the Yanyun Group's Gay 1 project. These sickos ran twisted experiments on hundreds of innocent kids. But then one day, an anomaly triggered in one of the test subjects. Boom. Everyone dead. Staff kids. Everyone, except Han. Battered and broken, she still managed to break out of that hellhole. She found a basement, hunkered down, and built this entire underground base from scratch. She spent years ghosting society, living in the shadows, until the day he personally tracked her down. The second she saw him, her walls went up. Total defense mode. So he cut the small talk and went straight for the jugular. He offered her revenge. Funny enough, their goals aligned perfectly. Han was still acting sus, so he reached out a hand, showing her he wasn't there to hurt her. He was there to save her. See, in the original timeline, Han turns into a psychotic S-rank villain, fueled by a twisted need for payback, only to end up dead in a ditch. Total bad ending. Kim wasn't about to let that slide. Sure, he turned her into a villain now as his accomplice, but at least he's steering her toward a better path. Back in reality, Han realizes Kim is staring blankly at a screen. Not that his P-brain could understand the code anyway. Inside his head though, Kim is profiling Lee Subin. Poor girl lost her researcher parents way too young. Despite that, she supposedly hacked her way into a prestigious university through pure self-study. Her major computer engineering. Looking at the future roadmap, she's destined to become the tech support backbone for all of Han's hacking ops. At first, he was hesitant to draft her, but the moment he tasted her cooking, sold. Welcome to the team. Han pulls out a beetle-shaped tracker. This bad boy was custom-built for their main character of the day. The target, Jack Chul, an A-rank villain. Kim lets out a curse. Why did it have to be a teleporter? The worst part is, this guy is broken. He can spam short-distance blinks infinitely with zero cooldowns or side effects. It's a nightmare matchup because Kim can't lock him down with telekinesis. Han chimes in, saying they need to delete him because he's such a headache. Kim isn't exactly hyped about it though, mostly because she has no clue how much physical pain teleporting causes him. Fast forward a bit, he's already on site for the ops. He radios Han asking if warping directly into the guy's living room is actually a smart play. She doubles down, just shoot the tracker. Even if he dodges the bullet, he can't dodge the bug. She engineered it to be faster than gunfire. Kim thinks it'd be cleaner to just clap him in the streets, but Han reminds him this dude only teleports. He literally never walks anywhere. Plus, she spent ages researching this plan. Arguing with him gets her so tilted she has to chug water to cool off. Meanwhile, Lee Subin wishes her idol Egostic good luck. Han drops the command execute. He warps in, catching Jack fresh out of the shower. Kim instantly unloads his dual pistols, one with standard rounds, one with the tracker. Jack barely manages to blink away, but luck is on their side. The tracker sticks. The girls immediately get to work triangulating his signal. He moved 500 meters east. Egostic follows the ping, materializing right in the middle of a massive crowd. Yeah, this wasn't in the brochure. People instantly whip out phones to livestream him. Meanwhile, at Yanji University, Haru is stuck in class when the association drops a priority call capture Egostic. They send the cords and tell her to hustle. The news hits her so hard, she almost loses it. She has to force herself to breathe because her reaction was drawing way too many eyes. Blushing with embarrassment, she grabs her bag and sprints for the roof, launching herself into the sky to intercept. Back on the ground, Han is guiding Egostic, confirming the bullet definitely tagged Jack Chul. The traffic light flips to red. Egostic moves in for the kill, but Han screams a warning in his ear. Some lunatic driver just blew the red light and is barreling straight for him. But before the impact, we cut to a flashback. Dead of night. A group of shady thugs has Jack Chul tied up on a bridge over unpaid debts. He'd stalled for too long, and these guys were done listening to the sob stories. The boss takes a drag of his cigarette and burns through the rope holding Jack. Despite the begging, the boss doesn't flinch. Down he goes. It was a death sentence. Falling toward the black water, Jack screamed curses at them. But right as he hit the surface, a blinding light exploded. In a split second, Jack Chul vanished and reappeared right behind the thugs on the bridge, leaving the squad totally shook with his sheer absurdity. Jack Chul relished the surge of power coursing through his veins while the mob rushed him for round 2. But Jack Chul, he wasn't sweating it. With this kind of juice, he knew there wasn't a soul on earth quick enough to tag him. Flash forward, Egotistic pulled a clutch move, blinking right inside the truck to cheat death, which ticked Jack Chul off big time. He had the timing calculated down to the millisecond, yet Egotistic still finessed him. Out of options, he scrambled to the top of a skyscraper. Perched on the edge, a memory hit him. Egotistic had already flatlined 2 other villains. He briefly wondered if there was some personal beef, but quickly scrapped that theory, since he'd never even crossed paths with the guy before. When Egotistic demanded his surrender, it clicked for Jokchul. This psycho is hunting villains just for the thrill of it. Then boom, Egotistic warped right next to him on the roof. Jokchul bolted, but it was useless because Egotistic was glued to his heels. In a panic, Jokchul snatched up a woman and yeeted her off the ledge as a distraction, but Egotistic swooped in, catching her with such smooth riz that she instantly caught feelings. Meanwhile, a bullet impact drained Jokchul's stamina, causing him to faceplant onto the pavement, totally defenseless. Egotistic finally caught up, ready to read him, his rights or lack thereof. Jokchul was baffled. Isn't this guy supposed to be a villain too? Egotistic didn't deny the label, but clarified he wasn't absolute trash, like the guy on the floor. He turned to the crowd, exposing this dude as garbage, who embezzled billions in assets and deleted 4 innocent people. When he asked the public how to handle such a monster, they didn't hesitate to scream for his execution, which really triggered Jokchul, claiming their bloodlust made them no better than him. But Egotistic knew the lore. If left alive, Jokchul evolves into an S-rank villain who wipes out hundreds of people. But the worst part, he'd eventually torment his precious Stardust. Slipping back into character, he told Jokchul, "Game over," and double-tapped him right there. Unexpectedly, the crowd cheered. It confused him. Usually people freak out when they see someone get flatlined. Even though superpowers exist here, it usually feels just like his original world. But moments like this, a stark reminder he's on a totally different planet, and he still can't quite get a read on the locals. With theatrical flair, he tipped his hat to the audience, then immediately pointed his weapon at them, a subtle reminder that they were cheering for a villain. But his performance got cut short when Stardust crashed the party. Just seeing her made him blush behind the mask. Usually, she's a quiet college student. But in hero mode, she talks with this gritty, rude tone. And honestly, that really turns him on. Stardust demanded an explanation. Egotistic shrugged, claiming he just deleted a teleporting psycho who murdered innocents. Basically, he did the hero's job for them. Stardust didn't vibe with that. She exploded with rage, while Egotistic pointed out that heroes are authorized to neutralize A-rank threats. She snapped back. "So are you a hero now?" Realizing they were being live-streamed, he saw the perfect opening to glaze her up and boost her public rep. He started monologuing about how he admires her unshakable sense of justice. Totally different from him, an outlaw taking the law into his own hands. However, the speech backfired hard. The crowd started hyping him up for catching baddies, laws be damned. He totally didn't see that coming. Han buzzed in his ear, ordering him to quit the grandstanding and return to base. Thinking fast, Egotistic announced to the world that he is, in fact, a villain who plans to commit more crimes, and dared Stardust to stop him. Then he dipped before he could mess up the narrative any further. Stardust stood in silence, staring at Jokchul's lifeless body, her mind racing with conflicting thoughts. Meanwhile, Kim made it back to the underground hideout, physically unable to move a muscle. A panicked Lizabin demanded to know what happened. Han explained it was the backlash from his teleportation ability. Together, they grabbed his arms and dragged his limp body to the recovery pod. The news went viral instantly. The internet was simping hard for Egotistic, leaving Stardust in the dust. She saw it all. Perched on a rooftop, she started questioning everything about her life. A dark memory surfaced the day her parents were smoked for resisting a robbery, and the shooter told her to blame those idiots she called parents. Even with a gun barrel in her face, she didn't show an ounce of fear. Just pure, unadulterated rage. That look left the gunman speechless. He told her to count her lucky stars and walked away without hurting her, claiming she was interesting. But Haru was furious at her own helplessness back then. If she had the power she has now, she wouldn't hesitate to delete that scumbag from existence. Right in the middle of her breakdown, a lightning bolt literally nuked her from the heavens, but instead of frying her, it triggered a total metamorphosis, gifting her golden locks and her signature god-tier powers. Meanwhile, back at the Agostic HQ, Kim was groaning in bed when Han realized the boss was finally awake. Hype levels rising, he shoved a screen in Kim's face, insisting he listen to the latest buzz while he eats, because the news cycle has been compiling a highlight reel of his actions so far. First off, he absolutely did 2 A-rank villains. Then he pulled a massive save for hostages in a building hijacked by criminals. And get this, he even cut checks for the victims. He also flatlined that teleporting A-rank baddie, the one heroes claimed was basically impossible to catch. And according to the media's hot take, Agostic isn't giving off villain vibes. In fact, his approval rating is insane. His post has over 7,000 likes and only 12 dislikes. On the flip side, the internet is dragging Stardust, saying she's contributing 0 value, and that Agostic is way more based. I mean, the guy soloed 3 A-rank threats. Kim is confused why Stardust is getting so much hate, and Han thinks it's because she's the slacker among the A-rank trio. Shadow Walker and Icicle are out there saving hundreds, single-handedly, while Stardust crickets. Or at least that's the narrative the keyboard warriors are spinning. And, the cherry on top, they opened an agnostic fan cafe. Kim can't fathom what kind of weirdos simp for a villain, so he hopped up, decided to flip the script. He tells the crew to gear up because their next raid starts immediately. And they're gonna show Korea what a legit villain looks like and who the real hero actually is. Meanwhile, Haru was chilling with her mango juice until her vibe was ruined by overhead gossip claiming Egostic is superior. It hits her right in the feels because she's trying her hardest and doesn't get the toxicity. She literally slapped herself to snap out of it. And her bestie, Chaeyoung, asks why she's beating herself up. Ignoring the self-inflicted violence, Chaeyoung wants to show her something hilarious that's trending hard, the official Egostic fan cafe. Haru is shook that Chaeyoung is actually standing this guy, but then her friend flags her down. Egostic is live streaming right now. Immediately, the association buzzes Haru to report to base, then deploy to the scene. She jumps up and sprints off mission-locked catch Egostic. Down by the train tracks, Kim made his grand entrance, and to his shock, the crowd actually cheered for him. He grabs the mic, acknowledging that apparently everyone sees him as some kind of hero. They even made a fan club for him, but he thinks they're confused, reminding them he's a villain with a capital V. To prove it, he grabbed innocent bystanders and tied them to the tracks with the train barreling down as we speak. He knows for a fact Stardust is watching the stream, so he breaks down the rules of the game. It's a classic trolley problem. Leave the lever alone and save one person while 5 die, or sacrifice the one and pull the lever to save the 5. Oh, and if she tries to save everyone, the train derails. Game over. That means her only logical move is to pull the lever. Stardust burst onto the scene, ghosting him for now, fully aware that unbinding the hostages endangers every passenger on board. Despite the crushing pressure, she racked her brain for a miracle solution, while Egostic watched with glee as the train lights appeared. The livestream chat is screaming for Stardust to pull the lever. Pure math. 1 life lost is better than 5. Kim gets their logic, but he knows exactly how Stardust is wired. Lee Soo-bin panicked seeing Stardust sprinting head-on at the train, but Egostic told her to keep driving, assuring her the heroine won't attack. He yelled at the camera that Stardust is insane, she's gonna get splattered. Still, she planted her feet on the tracks to tank the train, physically betting she could stop it and save everyone. The protagonist noticed the train was actually speeding up, so he ordered Lee Soo-bin to hit the brakes, but she had passed out from sheer terror. This just went totally off script, and now Stardust is in mortal danger. A few minutes ago, as the train approached Egostic, predicted she'd choose the stop the train with brute force option, so everything was going to plan. He recalls how annoying it was setting up the hostages on the tracks, and doing it in broad daylight meant a million things could have gone wrong. But he was proud of the setup, reasoning that in the original canon, Stardust levels up by beating villains, but the trauma wears her down. Since he killed those villains, she lost her XP, so he designed this controlled training session to help her grind. It was all a calculated setup to power level her stats. He played it up for the cameras, bluffing that she'd be absolute toast if she went straight for the train. But deep down, that was exactly the endgame he had in mind. Let's be real, Stardust's flight mechanics and physical specs are still pretty mid and barely scratch A-rank territory, so there's no shot she stops that locomotive with her current build. However, she's unlocking a hidden passive skill nobody talks about. Her power output scales exponentially during a crisis event, so she should be able to clutch this. But then he noticed the train was gaining speed way too fast and Lee Soo-bin was out cold. That was not in the script. If innocent bystanders get deleted, Stardust wouldn't just lose her easy mode, she'd enter a PR nightmare hellscape. Egostic is entering panic mode. He's clueless on the next move. But Stardust proved she's the main character for a reason, engaging every single muscle fiber. Even her boots were tearing up the asphalt from the sheer G-force she was exerting. Egostic could only pray she'd stick the landing. And then, against all odds, Stardust pulled off the miracle stop just in time to save every single soul. Egostic was hyped beyond belief, and now, he needs her to look like an absolute boss for the livestream. Meanwhile, she's running on fumes from that surreal feat of strength she just pulled. Her pose was so iconic that Egostic couldn't even hide his inner fanboy, but he snapped back to his villain persona, instantly playing it cool. The script went off the rails, but the ending, perfection. A few eagle-eyed viewers caught Egostic screaming like a cheerleader, but the majority were too busy simping over the heroin they used to trash. Mission accomplished for Egostic. The whole chat started standing. Stardust, who leveled up purely through her determination to save lives. But that stamina bar hit 0. She couldn't even stay vertical and face planted into the ground. Egostic didn't hesitate. He blinked to her side instantly to check her vitals. Stardust threw some curses at him with the little energy she had left, but he just chilled her out, telling her good game, well played, and gave her the win for the day. He's logging off now so she can rest easy. Besides the backup, heroes are inbound to support. She finally blacked out, and Egostic turned to the camera to sign off on today's raid. However, once the stream cut the internet, started vibing with some suspicious tension between them. Next morning, Han woke the squad who were still completely drained from yesterday's grind. Han couldn't believe they were lagging this hard after just one raid. Anyway, she woke them up with a 5-star luxurious breakfast. Kim thanked her for the sweet gesture, making her blush a little. Unfortunately, she killed the vibe by physically assaulting him, demanding he eat before it gets cold. Once everyone sat down, they absolutely inhaled Han's masterpiece. Post-meal, she flicked on the TV to catch the morning update. She was curious about the headlines from yesterday's chaos. Kim was sure they'd branded him public enemy #1, but Han burst out laughing at the screen. The whole world is saying they're a couple. The news dropped receipts showing a screenshot straight from Agostic's own livestream. That totally screams romantic tension between hero and villain. Haru shattered a glass watching it. Neither she nor Kim could figure out how the hell they reached that conclusion. The media calls Agostic Korea's most trending villain. Yet the rumor mill says he's dating Stardust, the rising supernova, the smoking gun. They found a note from Agostic in Rhino's room, calling it a gift for her. And the biggest clue was their chemistry on the train tracks. That is definitely true love, and there is zero doubt about it. Haru shut off the stream right there, convinced everyone had lost their minds for shipping a villain and a hero. She's certain that ship will never sail. She absolutely loathes and despises him. But mixed in with that hate is something unexplainable. Seeing her stress, Chae-yoon thinks she's burnt out from the grind. Solution: ice cream therapy for the soul. She just needs to trust her senior on this one. Back at Ego Base, Han was throwing a fit because they'd already pulled off 2 raids, and now she wants to touch grass and have fun. Kim gave the green light for a squad outing, sending Han into euphoria mode. Kim spotted an ice cream festival flyer, thinking it'd be a chill, drama-free zone. Ironically, Haru was holding a brochure for the exact same event. On arrival, Kim was shook by the crowd size. Han, however, was disappointed he wore all black again. He clapped back that real men wear black to look drippy. Han just found that hilarious. Great news for Kim, the guy's vibes are finally immaculate. He immediately sprints toward a rice-flavored soft-serve stand. The whole squad agrees this outing was a solid call. But here's the twist. Lee Subin is the only one rocking a high-tech recognition jamming filter. She kind of has to, considering her face got plastered everywhere after Agostic saved her from that skyscraper heist. Kim tastes the ice cream and it's absolute fire, so he scoops some up to feed Lee Subin. She instantly starts panicking. I mean, that's basically an indirect kiss with her idol Agostic. She tries it pure heaven. Suddenly, Han bolts in the other direction. She spotted some mango ice cream. She hits the stall and orders immediately. The vendor gushes, saying she's just as adorable as her parents, obviously referring to Lee Subin and Kim. Kim just rolls with it, but Han roasts him, saying he looks old enough to be a dad. Kim fires back with a counterattack, blaming the confusion on her pint-sized, childlike height. A few minutes later, the vendor hands over a cone and 2 cups of ice cream. Han actually ordered for the whole crew. Kim is the illustrious leader of the Mango Club after all. Hearing this, the vendor cracks a creepy grin and reveals he's a massive Agostic stan. He even DIY'd his own fanboy shirt. Han thinks the drip is flawless. They grab a bench to chill, and Kim spots a dart-throwing challenge nearby. He flexes to the girls, claiming he used to be a sniper with these things. Time to show off some insane skills. Han just prays he isn't planning to cheat using his telekinesis. Kim looks a little too guilty at that comment. The stall lady announces the jackpot hit 10 bullseyes, and you win a massive 10-story ice cream tower. Han is eyeing the teddy bear instead. The lady clarifies that first-place winners get to pick whatever prize they want. Kim promises Han that bear is as good as hers. Internally, he's 100% planning to use telekinesis so he doesn't miss a single shot. But right then, a girl walks up asking for the price. Kim freezes. He instantly recognizes her. It's Chae-yoon, Haru's superior officer, and she's trying to win that 10-story ice cream for her friend. Kim is paralyzed with panic. Han's confused by the lag until she looks over and realizes standing right next to them is the legendary Stardust, and she was looking right at Kim a second ago. Flashback. Chae-yoon had been dragging Haru through the food stalls. Haru loved the snacks, so Chae-yoon dragged her to a spot that serves her absolute favorite flavor. They arrived at the shop, and Haru lit up. It was a mango ice cream specialist, but her mood tanked the second she realized the vendor was a hardcore Agostic fanboy. She was visibly salty. Still, she admitted she's having fun. It's been ages since they just chilled and enjoyed the scenery like this. That's when Chae-yoon spotted the dart challenge booth. Haru was down to play. That brings us back to the current standoff. Haru notices the main group. She assumes Han is the niece of the guy beside her, who gives her major deja vu. Chae-yoon snaps her out of it to take her shot. Haru nails the first bullseye without breaking a sweat. Kim starts analyzing. Stardust has super strength and flight, but that's not the scary part. Her entire body is a weapon. Right now she just buffs her strength, but eventually she'll level up. and unlock a sixth sense, a hyper-developed intuition. Basically, she'll instinctively detect anything suspicious. Even now, she might realize he's egostic. If that happens, it's straight to prison for everyone. Suddenly, Chae-yoon cheers her friend just hit all 10 darts perfectly. The vendor hands over the 10-story cone. The lady turns to Kim asking if he's gonna throw or just stand there. He stammers, claiming the blonde was so good he got distracted. But he's ready to lock in now. Sweating bullets, he assures Han he's about to display some masterclass technique. No telekinesis, though too risky. He grabs all the darts to throw them at the exact same time, just hoping to escape fast. Miraculously, he hits every single bullseye. Everyone is stunned, and Chae-yoon is shocked someone else is on Haru's level. The vendor brings the teddy bear, but Kim's crew is already dipping to avoid getting caught. Chae-yoon tells Haru to grab the bear so they can chase the owners down and return it. But Haru gets distracted and bumps her massive ice cream into the roof, sending it toppling toward Kim. Kim pulls a matrix move to stay clean and avoid any interaction with them. Mortified, Chae-yoon asks for his number so she can at least pay for laundry. Kim waves it off, he just wants to leave. He tried to lay low and dodge the spotlight, but just his luck, the girls were already vibing with Stardust. He was about to signal them when, boom, something massive crashed the festival, turning the party into total bedlam. Enter Drillo Coco, a nasty A-rank villain hunting Stardust. Kim didn't hesitate, snatching up his crew instantly. Something was off. This dude wasn't supposed to show his ugly mug, yet the original timeline was officially broken. While Haru whisked Chae-yoon to safety, a terrifying realization hit Kim like a truck. There was zero chance Stardust could make it to the association for her identity protection filter in time. The real kicker, she's the type to dive headfirst into danger right now. If she fights barefaced like she did in the original canon, it triggers the root of despair. Kim wasn't about to let that tragedy replay, no matter the cost. So he made a move. He warped the girls straight to Ego Base, suited up in record time, and barked orders at Han to fire up the livestream. He completely ignored her concern, no time for feelings. Back at the chaos, Dryla Coco was raging, screaming for Stardust to show herself. Suddenly, Egostic's voice boomed over the speakers, introducing himself as South Korea's public enemy #1. He audaciously asked Dryla Coco, who gave him permission to crash his turf. The crowd went wild, totally hyped by his arrival. They didn't buy his bad guy act for a second. To them, he's practically a hero, especially when he trash-talked the monster, guaranteeing its defeat. But hold up, let's rewind 3 years. Inside the Hero Association conference room, they were briefed on the anti-recognition filter. Its high-tech stuff passed through the device, and a digital veil masks your identity, making your face a blur for a set period. But there's a catch if you show your real face to someone you know. The filter glitches out. And obviously, if a hero drops their mask to the public, it's not just a career ender, it's a life destroyer. That's the golden rule every hero must obey. Back in the present, Haru did the math. It was way too late to hit up HQ for the filter. But she didn't sign up for the hero life to run away. Exactly as Egostic predicted, she chose to fight identity be damned. On her way, she noticed the crowd buzzing with excitement over the arrival of Korea's swaggiest villain. Which brings us back to Egostic's grand entrance. He knew the canon lore Stardust originally revealed her face here, and her life became a living hell. Maintaining a normal life is crucial for a hero. Dryla Coco clocked him immediately. It was that same guy who's always flirting with Stardust. The monster leaped up the building, convincing the crowd he was fighting for the heroine's heart. Reaching the top, the beast snapped its massive jaws to swallow Egostic whole, but he blinked away with a teleport. The monster kept the pressure on, but Egostic used the warp to deliver a nasty counterstrike right to its skull. Enraged, Dryla Coco roared at him to stop jumping around like a maniac and fight fair. Egostic just shrugged. He had to remind the beast that, well, he is a villain. The audience still wasn't buying his evil persona. He realized he needed a solid narrative to justify why he was there. Otherwise, the misunderstanding would just get worse. So he loudly asked the monster why it attacked. Dryla Coco growled that he was after Stardust, but since Egostic seemed interested in her too, they were now rivals. Egostic was confused by that logic, but the crowd ate it up. Now they were 100% convinced the two were fighting over a girl. Dryla Coco's rage spiked when he remembered Egostic's earlier threat about invading his turf. Egostic tried to backpedal, but it was way too late to de-escalate. The beast began charging massive energy in its maw. Egostic recognized the move instantly, the extreme splash. The monster unleashed a devastating energy beam to roast him alive. Luck was on his side. He warped out of the way just in time, knowing full well a direct hit would have been game over. Next, he unlocked the heavy gear on his shoulder, revealing an arsenal of floating guns. With a slick flick of his wrist, he unleashed a lead storm on the target. When the clips ran dry, Dryla Coco emerged from the smoke angrier than ever, roaring that petty bullets couldn't scratch him. Egostic casually swapped his face gear for a gas mask, noting that the gunfire was just bait to make him drop his guard. Mid-roar, he tossed a grenade straight down the beast's gullet. K-boom blown to bits from the inside out. Egostic remembered that in the original canon that monster's armored hide gave Stardust hell, so obviously he came prepared with a cheat code. The Drillokoko hit the pavement. Game over. Now the livestream chat is blowing up, demanding the association give Egotistic his flowers and recognize him as a legit hero. As his weapons clattered to the ground, Egotistic's whole body started trembling, uncontrollably. He pushed his limits way too far. He wanted to stash his gear using telekinesis, but his mana tank was running on empty. Then it hit him. The camera was still rolling. He faced the lens and claimed he only smoked the monster because it rubbed him the wrong way, swearing Stardust had zero involvement in this mess. But let's be real, the viewers could tell he was just saying the first excuse that popped into his head. Suddenly, Stardust blitzed onto the scene with her supersonic speed, demanding to know if he took down the beast. Egotistic confirmed the kill, and naturally, she pressed him for a motive. He shrugged, saying the creature wouldn't shut up about him trying to flirt with the mighty Stardust, and that really ticked him off. Then his voice dropped an octave. He warned her to never even think about stepping out, with her face revealed again. The second she does, her life turns into a living nightmare. Mic drop moment. He cut the live stream and instantly vanished using his signature teleportation, leaving Stardust standing there with a million questions. Meanwhile, back at Ego Base, the toll of spamming teleportation finally caught up to him. His body was wrecked, and he blacked out cold, forcing the girls to rush in and save him. Back at the scene, Stardust spotted a fragment of Egotistic's shattered mask. She couldn't shake the feeling. How did he read her mind? She's desperate to crack his secret identity. The next day, she scrolled through the forums. The internet was buzzing and everyone was simping for Egotistic. Reading the comments was exhausting. Even worse, the guy's fan club numbers were skyrocketing. It felt like the whole world was Team Egotistic except her. Even the local ice cream vendor was rocking a shirt with his name on it. Remembering his kind words, she started second-guessing herself. Maybe she's the one who's got it twisted, not the fans. Over at Ego Base, Han was blaming Stardust for all the drama Kim was going through. The good news, Kim finally woke up back to his usual self. Asking why everyone looked so gloomy, Han didn't answer. She just grabbed him in a massive bear hug, relieved he was alive. Kim had been out cold for 3 days straight from teleportation burnout. Han laid down the law. He needed to be way more careful. He agreed, though he secretly found it hilarious that she actually cried over him. Looks like their bonding time paid off. But Lee Subin cut to the chase. Why did he rush to the scene so fast? Moving like that, people are going to mistake him for a hero. Han totally agreed, calling it ridiculous since his whole brand is supervillain. Kim countered that if he hadn't stepped in, Stardust would have been forced to handle it. Han didn't see the issue, but Kim broke it down. That would have been a suicide mission. If a hero doxed herself, every villain in town would hunt her down until she was history. Han asked why that was their problem. Kim explained that the world needs a balance between good and evil. See, most metahumans don't suit up as heroes. They break bad. Why? Because the hero gig pays peanuts for the constant death threats. So most take the easy route and become villains. Just look at Korea. The whole country only has 3 A-rank heroes: Stardust, Izzy, and Shadow Walker. Meanwhile, A-rank villains are everywhere. Han still didn't see the connection to their squad. But Kim admitted he's actually invested in Korea's fate. Han got suspicious. She thinks he's just simping for Stardust. He immediately told her to put some respect on the heroine's name. The vibe at the table got super awkward. Lee Subin jumped in to break the tension, asking Han to spill the details on their previous chat. Han lit up, hyping up the upcoming summer vacation, and pitched a beach trip. Surprisingly, Kim was totally down for it. Han practically did a victory dance. But there's a catch. He announced their next move, another terror attack on the city to tank his own approval ratings. The truth, he needs to help Stardust level up her powers. There's a high chance a villain, like that lizard freak, could show up again. If Stardust doesn't get stronger, she's toast. Han didn't care about the details. She just needed confirmation they were still hitting the beach post-attack. He promised, sealing the deal with a pinky swear before running off to pack. Later on, Han admitted she's got big plans. So far, he staged attacks at the observatory and the train tracks. Ground attacks are totally off the table, so we need to take this chaos to the deep blue sea or the high skies. Kim's gears started turning, and suddenly pure inspiration struck him like a lightning bolt from the god of chaos. The verdict: they need to yeet a plane straight into the ocean, a plan that had him and Han cackling like absolute lunatics. Fast forward a bit, and we see a commercial flight cruising along, vibes completely chill and normal. Until Agostic hijacked the system, he announces to the whole cabin that today is their lucky day for a twisted trivia game show. And get this, the whole event is being live-streamed to the world. Oh, and he casually mentions he planted a couple of bombs on board. The pilots are locked out, triggering instant mass hysteria among the passengers. Meanwhile, Agostic flips into full-on game show host mode, shouting, "Let the games begin." Cut to the Hero Association HQ, where Stardust smashes through the doors of the command center. She demands a sitrep on the attack. The president, looking totally defeated, basically tells her, "Don't bother going." He thinks it's a lost cause. But Stardust, she stands her ground, ready to deploy, and checks him for that loser attitude. Suddenly, a new challenger approaches. Stardust lights up, because it's Hyun, a.k.a. the legendary Shadow Walker, or the Night Lord. He tells the Prez he'll hit up Jeju Island Airport, but after that, he is crashing hard, because fighting in daylight drains his battery like crazy. The president warns Stardust not to go too hard. After all, you can't save everyone. A harsh reality she knows all too well. Shadow Walker engages his dark warp drive. Boom, they arrive. Stardust hits the roof, shouting out a quick thanks to the gloomy guy. But the dude is absolutely cooked from using his powers in broad daylight. She steps out, ready to save the day like a boss. But that confidence shattered in a split second. Because honestly, she has zero clue how to stop a plummeting plane. But pause, let's rewind a bit. Flashback to a few years ago. A shady villain meetup hosted by Thousand, an S-rank baddie. Plot twist, Shadow Walker stands up and straight up vetoes Thousand's master plan. Thousand wants to conquer all of South Korea. He thinks Shadow Walker forgot whose turf this is. Meanwhile, a minion is wondering, how did this guy even get in here without triggering an alarm? Thousand roars that this is his house, and launches a massive energy nuke. But when the dust settles, total confusion. Shadow Walker ghosted him. Suddenly everyone starts getting sucked into this creepy black goo. Thousand powers up to max level to stay guarded. But the darkness, it's dripping from the ceiling now. Shadow Walker drops from the shadows for a sneak attack. Thousand counters with his ultimate move, blasting. Energy beams in every direction. He thinks he flattened the punk, but joke's on him, he just nuked a decoy. The real Shadow Walker spawns right behind him. Menacing aura on 100. He claims the turf as his own, drowning everything in shadow. That was him at his peak. Now, he's totally nerfed without his darkness field. Back to the present, Egostic spots Stardust crashing the party. So he drops the final question of the quiz. The passengers are literally sweating bullets. To get why, let's rewind 30 minutes. Egostic breaks down the rules of engagement. Everyone gets a text from a burner number. That is your hotline for answers. From now on, zip it. Silence is golden. If you cheat or yap, you are disqualified. Permanently. Question 1. What was the exact capacity of a lifeboat on the Titanic? You have exactly 1 minute. Go. One lady tries to screen peek her neighbor. To snag the answer, Egostic catches her lacking and bans her for cheating. She starts Karening out, and gets the people sitting next to her disqualified too. Savage. The livestream chat. Starts realizing Egostic isn't playing. Time's up. He reveals the answer and drops a joke. So cringy that even Han didn't crack a smile. Next up, more rounds, more eliminations. As the quiz rolls on, the vibe shifts from confused to absolutely terrified. Finally, the boss level. The last question. Get this right, and everyone walks away alive. But there is a catch. Only one contestant is left standing. That is when Egostic spots Stardust on the roof, announcing that hundreds of lives rest on this one dude's shoulders. How's the pressure, buddy? The guy admits he is freaking out. But his answer was a total buzzkill for Egostic because he made it crystal clear that talking was strictly off limits for the final round. Usually, you might get a pass for a slip-up, but not today. The judges swung the banhammer immediately. And then, boom. The bomb didn't wait, sending the jet into a terrifying nosedive. Everyone's looking at Stardust to step up, but she freezes. It's a total deja vu of her worst trauma paralyzing her on the spot. Clueless. She radioed the association for backup, but they straight up folded. They're literally drafting a press release to announce the upcoming tragedy. Abandoned and hopeless, Stardust felt like quitting. She barely managed to stop a train doing 60 miles an hour, stopping a diving jet, impossible. Memories of her parents' death flooded back, wishing she had the power to save them back then. The irony is brutal. History is repeating itself, and she feels useless. Suddenly, static cuts in. Egostic hacked her comms signal. Just seconds ago, he was vibing thinking today's raid was a cakewalk. Then Han dropped the info. Stardust hasn't budged from the rooftop. That was definitely not in the script. He ordered Han to patch him through to her headset immediately. Naturally, she greeted him with a few choice insults, which he completely ignored. He made it clear that plane crashes if she doesn't move. Stardust clapped back, reminding him this was his mess. Yet he expects her to catch it. It's suicide. She'd get shredded the second she touches, a jet falling at 600 miles an hour. She figured this was his twisted way of killing her indirectly, but Egostic cut through the noise. Grit your teeth and save them. He knows she can do it. That's just who she is. Stardust is confused. Why help? He fires back that he has no reason to zero her out. He's just another villain. She's the one who completes him. That line hit Stardust different, straight to the soul. And for once, she took the bait even if it was a trap to finish her off. She crushed the communicator and took flight racing toward the falling metal bird. As she closed in, she realized running away meant living a life, drowning in regret. She never thought a villain's sweet talk would be her fuel, but she locked in, refusing to live with that guilt. Inside the plane, the guy who failed, the final question was spiraling, blaming himself for the end. He sobbed, picturing his family one last time, but then a crying girl froze. She noticed something wild. The plane was slowing down. The pilots were confused. The yoke was fighting them, controlled by an external force, but that force was stardust, fueled by sheer, unadulterated determination to save everyone. Moments later, a flight attendant rushed to grab the last passenger. To his shock, the cabin was empty. Everyone made it out alive, tears streaming. He called their savior a true hero. Meanwhile, her mind was drifting back to Egostic. The next morning, the news cycles were buzzing about the incident. Egostic remote-controlled the jet into doom, but miraculously, everyone survived thanks to the magnificent stardust. Experts were losing it. Physics says she shouldn't have been able to pull that off. Watching from home, Haru clicked the TV off, cheeks burning from the praise. Suddenly her phone lit up. It's the blue-haired girl announcing she snagged some vacation days from the Association Press. Beach trip time. It's been ages since they hit the road together. Haru was hyped, accepting instantly. The girl added that Hyun is on the guest list too. Later, Haru stepped onto her balcony, Egostic's pep talk replaying in her head. It seems ironic that the only person trusting her potential is a villain. She's still puzzled why force her to stop the plane if he was sure she'd succeed. That we complete each other line lingered. He definitely had an angle. She needs to dig into his history. Then the association called. They want a full skills reevaluation. Meanwhile, Han and the squad were packed and ready to roll. Kim ordered them to deflate the pool floats to save trunk space, and Han obeyed instantly, buzzing with energy. It hit Kim then, this is actually his first real vacation since getting dropped into this world. He's gonna milk it for all it's worth. But they forgot one tiny detail, the nightmare traffic and the blistering heat waiting to roast them alive. Han pitches a brilliant idea, teleport the whole car. Kim shuts that down fast, says it'd literally drain his life force to zero. Now Han's salty, whining that they should have just taken the train. But Kim hits him with a reality check, way too much baggage. That piques Han's curiosity, what exactly is in the trunk? He pops it open and bam, a literal arsenal. Kim shrugs it off with a better safe than sorry, but Han totally loses it. Is this a vacation or a war zone? Fast forward a few hours, Han's mood flips instantly. We've hit the beach. Baby Lee Subin grabs a cold soda and slides it over to Kim, seizing the solo moment to get sentimental, telling him she's forever in his debt. Kim raises an eyebrow. For what exactly? Everything, she insists. Saving her life, treating her like a human. Kim shakes his head. Nah, he's the one who should be saying thanks. After all, she's the MVP of housework and a master chef in the kitchen. Subin turns 50 shades of red at the praise. But this wholesome vibe triggers Kim's trust issues. It feels like a manga plot twist where the waifu poisons the MC. He stares at the drink, suspicious. Cut to the Hero Association. The suits are analyzing data, absolutely convinced the readings aren't a glitch. Mathematically, it makes zero sense that Stardust could have stopped that plummeting plane. She agrees the old benchmarks were accurate, but she felt a shift when she pushed past her limits. She flares her aura, turning every head in the room. She winds up for a punch, and boom, the shockwave leaves everyone floored. Confirmed, Stardust just leveled up. Meanwhile, back at the beach, Han spots the other two getting way too cozy. He calls them out immediately the second he stepped away. They started low-key flirting. Subin tries to play it cool and deny it, even though she's totally crushing on Kim. Han isn't having it, and demands squad participation. This is a family trip, guys. So Kim decides to play by scooping her up with a demonic grin and yeeting her straight into the ocean. Consider us playing. Han emerges from the surf and slaps a handful of seaweed right onto Kim's face. Despite the annoyance, Kim realizes he hasn't felt this chill in ages. He embraces the chaos and launches a counter-assault on Han. With full force, full-blown beach war ensues. But as night falls, the vibe shifts. A crew of shady criminals is gearing up for a major heist at the Marriott Hotel. Inside, Kim finds out Han cheaped out and only booked one single room for the trio, claiming it's for budget efficiency. Before they hit the elevator, Han drops the bomb. The bed is massive, so they're all crashing together. It's the only option. Lee Subin chimes in, mentioning it's been forever since they had a slumber party. Kim starts sweating bullets, claiming he has zero memory of that ever happening. He figures it'll be fine, and honestly, it was, because the girls passed out the second their heads hit the pillows. But while they snooze, Kim hears a noise. Suddenly, the door gets kicked in. He instantly drops the intruders, turning their own guns against them with telekinesis. Who are these pests? He steps into the hallway and sees thugs rounding up civilians. Now he's pissed. Of all the times to attack, they pick his vacation. It's suspicious they'd try a night raid. Knowing the Night Lord owns the dark, then the realization hits him. The Night Lord is still out cold from teleporting Stardust earlier. Great. No other choice. He barks orders at Han. Wake. Subin barricade the room. He's heading to the parking lot. At his car, he spots more goons swarming the building. Lucky for them, he packed his anti-recognition mask, and he's about to make them pay for ruining his PTO. Back in the hotel room, he tosses gear to the girls. Break time's over, it's go time. Down in the main lobby. Meet Spain, an A-rank villain, and the mastermind here. He's live-streaming a threat to the Hero Association. Wire the cash or the hostages get deleted. Just as he's reading out the bank routing number, he gets cut off. The room freezes. It's Kim, declaring this little clown show is officially cancelled. With a casual flick of his wrist, every single gun in the room levitates, turns on the bad guys, and bam, he wipes the floor with them instantly. The move leaves him dizzy, burning through way too much mana, but he has to blink teleport immediately to dodge a lethal kick from Spain. The villain is fast. He pulls a piece and lands a point-blank shot right in Kim's gut. Suddenly, Egoistic bursts into maniacal laughter. One bullet. That's the best you got. He's putting on an Oscar-worthy performance, but internally, he's freaking out. He's in serious trouble. One flinch and he bleeds out. Spade's survival instincts are screaming at him to get the hell out of Dodge. Total bummer, considering he planned this blitz attack specifically because the Night Lord was MIA. That telekinesis is a dead giveaway. It's Egostic. Spade figures he's just another villain on this guy's hit list. Egostic clocks the tension in the air. Feeling uncharacteristically merciful today, he decides to throw the guy a bone and let him scatter. Spade demands to know what his deal is, but Egostic gaslights him, claiming he only stepped in because these clowns ruined his vacation. He suggests Spade beat it before things get ugly. Internally, though, he is begging for him to leave because he is barely holding on to consciousness. Spade realizes this is a golden ticket since he can always recharge later, so he doesn't think twice. He bolts toward the exit at Mach speed. Right at that second boom, Stardust's fist comes out of nowhere, accidentally steamrolling him with god-tier force. Radiating pure authority, she commands the criminals to drop their weapons, only to freeze when she realizes the trash has already been taken out. A-rank heroine Icicle pulls up to the scene, equally shook that there are 0 enemies left standing. Kim is totally love-struck by her visuals, but Stardust snaps him out of his trance, demanding to know who the hell he is, and if he's the one who soloed these goons. Kim's racing mind focuses on one thing: stall until he gathers energy, sufficient for 2 teleports. The silver lining: they have no clue he is Egostic. He flips the script, introducing himself as a clandestine S-rank hero operating from the shadows of South Korea. They definitely didn't see that coming, but Stardust isn't buying it. She's been in the hero game way too long, and never heard a whisper about him. Kim claps back that anonymity is literally the point of being secret, proceeding to rattle off their specific ranks, dropping a flex that he's been active way longer than any of them. His partners are totally lost on what his angle is, while Kim boldly demands the heroes show some respect to their senior. Stardust is still throwing major shade, and he feels the skepticism. Time to drop a hero name. His eyes land on a kid wearing a mango shirt, so he improvises, "Call me Apple Mango." The name is so cringe, the civilians actually look disappointed. Icicle gets a ping from the association and confesses she has confirmation that no such hero exists, demanding he drop the act and reveal his true identity. Feigning outrage, Kim yells that he even knows the association president's real government name, which is Park Man-chun, but he changed it to Park Jun-ho because the original sounded too countryside. That intel actually makes the heroes hesitate. Meanwhile, Kim thinks it's wild he's using lore from the original story like this. Icicle immediately confirms the association verified the facts, but he is still a total nobody to them. A bystander gets fed up and steps in to defend the guy who literally saved his life. That's what matters. Kim is pumped that this random dude is backing him up, until the guy runs his mouth too much, mentioning how the masked hero manipulated the criminals' weapons to wipe them out. A power set suspiciously similar to the infamous Egostic. Internally, Kim screams at the guy to please just shut up, but the damage is done. The heroes are on high alert. Kim is cursing up a storm in his head, because he just needs a tiny bit more time to recharge. But the girls are already gearing up to capture him and unmask him. It comes down to the wire, only 3 seconds until Kim gets his juice back. Problem is, he is completely boxed in, and Stardust lunges to grab him. With split-second timing, Kim gathers enough power to teleport, dodging the grab, grabbing his teammates and vanishing before the heroes can do a damn thing. Back in the car, Kim orders Han to scrub every digital trace of their presence, including the hotel CCTV footage. That's when the girls finally clock the nasty wound on his body. Lee Subin suggests a hospital run, but Kim shuts it down. They'd get busted instantly. The only safe house is Ego Base. Lee Subin tells Han to start first aid immediately, while she floors it to the base. Han is spiraling into a panic seeing Kim in such bad shape, so Lee Subin has to snap her out of it. It works despite Han being terrified out of her mind, and with that handled, Lee Subin pushes the car to its limit. Meanwhile, the cops swarm. the hotel to assist the victims while Icicle is fuming, because these were supposed to be a chill vacay but looks like no days off is this villain's toxic trait. The Lord of Night dips out to catch some Z's, leaving Han feeling super guilty. She's like, my bad since this whole trip was supposed to be his R&R. Stardust cuts her off, no apologies needed. She admits she would have pulled up anyway just to see if Egostic was behind the chaos. Cut to the highway. Some random driver is yawning his head off until bam, a car screams past him like a bat out of hell. Dude thinks they've lost their minds. We're talking speeds over 120 miles per hour. Total maniacs. And guess who? It's the main squad. Egostic's ride is looking absolutely wrecked, barely holding it together. Stardust makes a mental note, watch every move. Then smash cut to a flashback of Kim. Back in his past life staring at the finale of the original web novel, completely speechless. The ending was absolute trash. Major letdown. He literally rage quit reality and went to sleep feeling salty. Back to now. The girls managed to stuff him into the recovery pod just in time, but Han is a total wreck. She's terrified of losing him, spiraling so hard she won't even touch food. Lee Subin steps in like, girl, eat something. After all, Kim is gonna wake up any second. Han wipes the tears, grabs a spoon, and right as she takes a bite, Kim's eyes snap open. He immediately roasts her for casually snacking, while her bestie is fighting for his life. The audacity. Seeing him awake is a huge relief, but then Han flips the script and gets furious at him for scaring her half to death. Meanwhile, the media is spiraling. They're asking the real questions. Is Egostic even a villain? 0 casualties on his record. 0. Stardust connects the dots. Even that crazy airplane hijacking incident, nobody got a scratch. He even called her mid-crisis to hype her up, almost like he knew she had the skills to save everyone, and that her powers would level up. She tries to brush it off as a fluke, but there's no denying it, she did get stronger. Here's the kicker. Every villain Egostic took out was a ticking time bomb, waiting to cause a massive disaster. We're talking world-ending threats. Also, the guy at the hotel was definitely Egostic. He's for sure not a hero in the traditional sense, but calling him a villain feels wrong too. Stardust gets a gut feeling he's directing some massive twisted play. She vows that next time they meet, the mask comes off. Meanwhile, Han is scrolling through the forums. The internet is blowing up. What's Egostic's endgame? Plus, how did he know the association president's real legal name? And let's not forget, he introduced himself as a secret S-class hero, operating from the shadows. The hot take, he turned villain after some beef with the association. That theory is trending hard. Lee Subin tells Han to log off, figuring Kim isn't in the mood to hear fan theories about his own reputation. But Han ignores the vibe check and asks Kim with zero chill, you planning on launching another attack? Looking like a zombie, Kim actually looking a bit terrified of her. Caves instantly. He agrees to a 3-month hiatus. Let the heat die down. But resting for him means headhunting season. He needs to expand the squad. Top priority. The only healer in the original storyline. A girl who's destined to become a game-breaking villain capable of shattering the world's power balance. Securing her loyalty is non-negotiable. Flash forward 3 months. The association pings Stardust. Villain alert. Her first reaction, is it Egostic? Nope. It's some rando named Locke Barham. Talk about a buzzkill. She still jets to the scene, but her mind is elsewhere. Where has Egostic been hiding for 90 days? Cut to Kim's crib. He's glued to the screen, watching Stardust's battle livestream. He is fanboying hard. On screen, this A-rank scrub Locke Barham lets out a massive roar to flex his power. Stardust. She's pissed. She unloads a nuclear punch right into his face, mostly because she's annoyed he isn't Egostic. One hit. The dude is literal dust. Kim jumps off the couch screaming, see, making her stronger was totally worth it. Han is not amused. She begs him to get a grip and stop visiting Stardust's fan cafe. Every single day. Kim tries to lie, but Han hits him with the bro, I'm a genius hacker. I see your search history. He ignores the call-out and announces it's time to get back on the grind. Han lights up. Another terror attack. Kim shakes his head. Nope. We taking out a rival? Nope. Today's mission, secure the new recruit. Downtown. A girl clumsily slams into an older couple and starts apologizing profusely. Target acquired. The guy didn't even blink completely, clueless that she just swiped his wallet. Slick moves. She's a pro. Then she spots a crew of creeps giving her the death stare. Further down the street, she bumps into her little brother Chayun. Kid just came from the playground with a nasty scrape on his knee. She warns him again. Gotta keep those powers on the down low. With a touch, she heals his leg, good as new, then slaps her cap on his head. Tells him to scoot home safe. She's off to hunt for snacks. Meet Hyul, future villain named Saint. But right now, just a hungry sister on the hustle. Later, she heads home grinning ear to ear with treats. But the vibe inside. Total nightmare scenario. The Reservoir Dogs gang is already there, and they've got Chayun held hostage. The gang leader is monologuing about how holding out on him equals a death sentence. And guess what he just found? A stash of stolen wallets she didn't pay tax on. Hyul begs him to leave the kid out of it. Take the cash, just go. The boss ignores her plea and yanks the kid up by his hair. Says the brat needs to learn his place. She's pleading desperate, but this guy's zero, chill. Says time's up. He's gonna execute the kid right in front of her. Suddenly, whoosh, his dagger goes flying out of his hand, and one of his goons drops dead instantly. Before they can even process the shock, floating weapons materialize, aiming right at their skulls. Boom, trash taken out. Chayun sprints into his sister's arms. She holds him tight, terrified but relieved he's breathing. Egostic watches, knowing the dark history here. In the original timeline, Chayun dies today. That trauma turns Hyul into a monster. A villain origin story he just cancelled. Thank God he wasn't late. The siblings finally notice him standing there. Hyul steps up, shielding her brother. Egostic smirks, says he's just here to pick them up. She's confused. He's a notorious villain, but he claims this is a rescue mission. Cops are rolling in, we gotta move. She stands her ground, refusing to go with a criminal, but Chayun bolts straight toward Egostic. Hyul freaks, thinking he's running straight into the wolf's mouth. But the kid's starstruck. He's a Mango Club member, a total fanboy. Egostic is actually shook. Cut to the ego base. Egostic introduces the fresh recruits to the squad. Hyul's still eyeing everyone sideways. Han, she's looking a little salty. Turns out the new healer is a total knockout. Han is not loving the competition one bit. Kim offers to grab some mango juice and Chayun lights up. Han realizes Hyul's vibe feels familiar. It's exactly how she acted when she first met Kim. Maximum distrust. She glares at him, scolds him for chugging straight from the bottle. Kim clarifies, relax, this one's mine. Yours is chilling in the fridge. Lee Subin hands Chayun a slice of mango and the kid chomps it down with a fork while his sister watches like a hawk. Chayun's happy, but Kim gets serious. Tells the girls to bounce. He needs a private word with the newbies. Han pouts, clearly annoyed, but Kim makes her and Lee Subin head to the main house. Alone now, Kim drops the bomb. He knows she wasted that orphanage director to escape. Hyul freezes. That's deep intel nobody should have. Kim adds he knows the guy was abusing them. That's why he tracked them down. They ask the million-dollar question, what do you want? I want you to live a good life. Not in this basement, obviously. He points to a warp gate. Says they're moving to a mansion. Real bed, school, normal kid stuff. Hyul's suspicious. Why help us strangers? Kim mentions his own little sister. Same age as Hyul. Says he's doing it for his own peace of mind. Then Chayun interrupts. Says he's binge-watched all Kim's fight videos. Kim's horrified. You're too young for that content. Anyway, he convinces them to crash there for a while. Promises it'll be a blast. We're not that bad. Chayun is sold instantly. Kim leads them through the base to the portal and steps through first. Hyul hesitates, major trust issues flaring, but her brother marches in fearless. She has to follow. Other side, pure luxury. They stepped right into a massive, gorgeous mansion. Kim spreads his arms, welcome home. And the best part, Chayun looks. He calls dibs on the entire third floor. The siblings, they score 2 suite rooms down on the second level. And tuition fees, forget about them. He's absolutely loaded, so school costs are literally zero issue. If she's hesitating, he drops a chill suggestion. Crash here for a few days, vibe check the place, and decide later. Total freedom to bail whenever she wants. That hits Hyul hard as she flashbacks to her brother, barely clinging to life before. But now he's actually glowing. Seeing that smile seals the deal she's in for the trial run. Kim waves off her thanks like it's nothing, but inside, he is throwing a massive party, because he just successfully drafted a healer to the squad. Still, there's this nagging feeling, like he completely forgot something important. Meanwhile, Stardust is doom-scrolling online reading wild theories about Egostic's sudden ghosting act. After being gone for so long, her cheeks flush a subtle pink as she wonders where that guy actually went. Cut to a different scene. A bunch of scientists are hyping up their latest creation. The head researcher drops the timeline. They wrap the project. The second, Dr. Songgu gets out ready to unveil the completed behemoth. And when that beast drops, the whole world bows to the Yanyun group. Unstoppable. The thought has them cackling like full-blown psychopaths. Back at base, Hyul is prepping mushrooms in the kitchen. Lee Subin steps in, telling her to take a break and let her handle the grind. But Hyul insists this actually helps her relax. Subin appreciates the assist, leaving Hyul to her thoughts. Hyul remembers the terrifying moment Egostic captured Subin during an attack. Fast forward 4 months. Since that nightmare, and Subin is living her best life here, completely contradicting the dark, tragic rumors swirling around her fate. But the biggest plot twist, learning Egostic's true identity. Right now, he is roasting Han for napping in the dark basement when they finally have a crib with decent lighting. Hyul realizes if Kim ever gets wrecked in a fight, her healing powers have his back. A couple of days later, Kim clocks that it's time to prep for the Yanyun group's black catastrophe. Suddenly, Han barges into his room, demanding they launch an attack on society as soon as possible because she is dying of boredom. Kim vibes with the idea and tells her to rally the troops. Once the squad is assembled, the tension in the room spikes. Hyul breaks the silence, asking the real question. Why do they even do these attacks? Kim is about to drop some deep philosophical monologue, but Han snaps at him to cut the fluff. So Kim keeps it real. We are villains. Hyul looks super uncomfortable with that label, until Han clarifies the golden rule: 0 innocent victims during raids. It's all about engineering moral dilemmas that fit Egostic's brand. Plus, they gotta involve Stardust, who Han absolutely despises, but the chaos has to somehow benefit the hero. Kim gives props to Han for the recap, then pivots to his master plan for this run. He calls this operation, "The Soul Bridge is Down." Here's the scoop: a massive monster is set to spawn right there this winter, marching straight north to flatten the Korean peninsula. But if they stage an attack and drop that bridge first, they trigger a mega splash that wipes out the beast, since water is its kryptonite. It's basically killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Stage a villain attack and take down the actual monster. Han struggles to wrap her head around where the heck he gets this intel. Kim just smirks, trade secret of a pro. Han actually admits the plan is fire, especially since they don't have to deal with that wretched Stardust this time. Kim tells her to quit trashing the hero, then asks if she knows what he has in surplus. Han guesses time, but Kim corrects her: it's money. Cold, hard cash. Cut to the bridge. He's live streaming to the masses, announcing the return of Korea's most stylish villain. He assumes the chat already knows what's about to go down, revealing the Soul Bridge is rigged with explosives. Drivers slam on their brakes the second they realize they're driving on a bomb, and Egostic, flashing a disturbing grin, triggers small charges. Bam, not enough to drop the bridge, just enough to scare them. He announces that today's players are the viewers watching the live stream right now, and the rules are dead simple. Click the link on screen and submit your bank account number. He's wiring 100,000 won to everyone who signs up. But here's the catch: if the clock hits 7 p.m. and there are more than 500,000 people who took the bait, he blows that bridge into a million pieces, taking everyone on it down with him. It's the ultimate social experiment: take the 100,000 won, or keep the bridge standing and save those lives. The game starts now. By the way, he totally DM'd Stardust to stay home and chill, no need for her to crash the party. He figured she'd be vibing, probably relieved this crazy villain was finally leaving her alone for a minute. But nope, she pulls up at the scene at Mach speed, and seeing her arrive that early, it shook him so bad he nearly fumbled the detonator. Stardust just stood there watching him with an eerie patience Egostic had never seen before. The tension was suffocating. Her glare intensified, practically screaming, "Get lost," without saying a single word, which totally threw him off. He hadn't felt pressure this heavy anywhere else in the city. Cut to an office scene. Someone shows their boss the breaking news. Egostic is wiring 100,000 won to anyone who drops their bank info on the link. Here's the catch: if over 500,000 people take the bait, the bridge goes boom. The boss is like, no sane person would click that. Then the employee drops a bomb: "I just got the cash." The boss starts chewing him out for being reckless, and the guy's apologizing profusely until the plot twist hits. The boss admits, "Yeah, I took the free money too." Jump cut to a mom getting a call from her son asking for her bank details as soon as possible. Minutes later, she's shocked he sent her allowance money. Yup, exactly 100,000 won, straight from the villain's wallet. Back on the bridge, Egostic is shivering, but it's not just the freezing wind, it's Stardust's laser focus. Her stare is freezing him to the bone. He's trying to figure out why she's so intense. Maybe she has some trauma tied to this bridge. He never expected her to be this furious. Honestly, he's starting to feel kind of guilty. Then he remembers that sound of rushing wind isn't weather, it's a black catastrophe skill, something she's not ready to handle yet. In the original canon, this was the dark turn. The first major disaster that signaled the story was shifting from standard hero tropes to something much grittier. Time to check the scoreboard. He checks the numbers. 450,000 people have already grabbed the cash. With 3 hours still on the clock, people in this world are seriously trash, he thinks. Looks like he's gonna win without lifting a finger. He flips the stream back on, acting all shocked that people actually took the bribe. In case you forgot, he taunts, there are real human beings standing on this bridge right now. He decides to showcase a potential victim of their collective greed. He points the camera at a car and asks the passenger to say hi. The dude, Mr. Choi, introduces himself with zero fear, totally confusing Egostic. Egostic is baffled because the guy isn't sweating it at all. "Why are you so chill when you're about to explode?" Mr. Choi just starts laughing, saying there's absolutely no reason to panic. "It's simple," he says. "All people have to do is not take the money and we're safe. Easy." His pure blind faith actually stuns Egostic. Meanwhile, everyone in the chat who took the cash is feeling major guilt. Egostic tells the audience, "Look at this guy. He actually believes in the moral backbone of South Korea." He asks for any final words, and Mr. Choi screams, "I trust you guys." Stardust is watching from afar, trying to decode Egostic's game plan. He moves to the next car, praying for a normal breakdown this time. But when he taps the glass, he gets hit with fangirl screams. The kids inside are losing their minds seeing the coolest villain in real life. Totally not the vibe he was going for. After an awkward minute, he tries to bail, but a little girl stops him to ask for an autograph. Egostic is so confused, he actually signs it. The chat goes wild. Suddenly, he's the nice guy. Then the girl drops a bombshell. She thanks him because her dad claimed the 100,000 won too. It's the most surreal moment ever. Night falls and it's showtime. He commands all cameras on him. Dramatic pause. Time to reveal the fate of the Soul Bridge. He flashes the final count. 1,250,000 people took the bait. A number that destroys. The 500,000 limit. The kids in the car stop smiling. This just got real. Egostic looks into the lens. You greedy, selfish people. Enjoy your final fireworks display. Boom. The charges detonate. Stardust freezes. She didn't think he'd actually pull the trigger. Egostic signs off, ending the stream as the bridge erupts in flames behind him. The chat instantly turns on the people who took the cash. Meanwhile, Egostic is exhausted from levitating so long. He hangs back, watching Stardust launch herself into the fire to save the day. Egotistic pushed his speed to the absolute limit to catch that plummeting car, but the math wasn't mathing. He was too far out to grab it physically. He had zero choice but to boost her with his telekinesis. Both of them strained every muscle fighting gravity with everything they had. That invisible assist gave her just enough edge to snag the bumper of the sleek black sedan before it hit the water. Two cars secured zero casualties, but the stunt completely drained Egotistic's monotank, sending him crashing into the debris like a ragdoll. Running on fumes, he managed one last warp back to Ego Base. Han and Lee Subin scrambled to his side, panic written all over their faces. The damage. Catastrophic. The girls hovered over him for hours, practically begging the universe to let him open his eyes. Even the high-tech recovery pod was struggling to keep up with his injuries. Standing in the shadows, Hyul listened to the chaos. Hearing the raw fear in their voices, it actually struck a chord in her frozen heart. Meanwhile, across the city, Stardust was chilling at her place, but her mind was stuck on replay. Egotistic. The attacks. That time he warned her to protect her identity at all costs. And the airplane disaster, she would have choked without his voice in her ear, hyping her up to save everyone. It was weird though. He sounded so confident, like he knew for a fact she could stop a whole jet midair, like he had a walkthrough guide to her life. It's wild. He sets up the villain arc, then helps her win. Make it make sense. She had a million questions queued up for him after ghosting each other for so long. Like, are you actually the bad guy? Are you evil or just misunderstood? Who is the dude behind the mask? But when she finally saw him, she froze up. Total silence. Then during the dive, she felt the falling car brake in midair. Physics don't work like that. She glanced over and saw Egotistic straining. He was the one carrying the load. Once the civilians were safe on solid ground, she whipped around to track him down. Gone. Poof. Ghosted again. The disappointment hit hard, blurring the line between nemesis and ally for her. Is Egotistic truly the antagonist here? Just then, Seole breezed in, catching Haru, looking like her puppy just died. Why the long face? Nobody died today. Haru finally snapped out of it, greeting her friend by her real name. Hey Seole. Seole tackled her with a massive bear hug. Of course I'm here, bestie, duty calls. They cracked open some sodas, Seole vibing with the freedom of being off the clock. Soaking in the Seoul skyline is nice, but she clocked Haru zoning out again. Still obsessing over Egotistic. Haru nodded. Seole waved it off. Chill. Even the president is low-key loving this. Thanks to our villain, crime stats are plummeting. The suits won't say it on TV, but they know. Plus, today didn't feel like he was trying to troll you. Haru took a deep breath, ready to drop a hot take. I don't think he's a villain. Meanwhile, at Ego Base, Hyul watched Han passed out on the floor. Poor girl had cried herself into a coma. Hyul gently draped a blanket over her to fight the chill. Then she stepped into the med bay. Kim was inside the tank, fighting a losing battle for his life. She hesitated. If she reveals her powers, will he use her as a battery? Will he turn into a monster? Just like everyone else did in the past. But then the memories hit. He saved them when they were nobodies. He was kind without a price tag. And now he was fading out right in front of her. Tears started streaming. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I was too scared, even though you proved you were one of the good ones. She was terrified he'd become another abuser if he knew what she could do. She wiped her face, steeling herself. No more fear. She activated her healing aura, knitting his broken body back together. Job done, she turned to bolt. She paused at the door to whisper a thank you. Inside the tank, Kim smirked internally. He finally unlocked the healer route. Fully restored and feeling fresh, he thanked her back. Cut back to the heroines where Seole was connecting dots. Okay, it is sus that nobody ever dies during his rampages, she admitted. And there was that burner phone call, back on the plane. And today, he straight up assisted you with the car rescue. Haru's eyes lit up. Exactly, but Seola killed the vibe immediately. Oh god, don't tell me you believe the apple mango theory. The secret S-class hero, please. Haru instantly regretted opening her mouth. It's not about believing, it's just, the pieces fit. Seole laughed. Relax, I'm just messing with you. But seeing Haru's dead serious face, Sol A dropped the act. Okay, fine. Egotistic moves differently. His chaos is too organized, calculated. And yeah, the body count is 0, but that only applies to civilians. For now, let's just say he's a villain with standards. The masses are clueless, but Haru isn't buying the official story she knows. Egostic's chaos is playing a much deeper game of 4D chess. Sayola, meanwhile, is trying to get her to quit the grind set, pestering her about whether she's caught feelings for any guys lately. Haru just waves it off with a smirk. Taking dating advice from someone with 0 experience, yeah, hard pass. Sayola gets flustered, admitting her family keeps her on a tight leash, dropping the bomb that she's the heiress to Yuseon, the megacorp ruling South Korea. Haru immediately starts roasting her, saying she looks adorable when she's squirming, while Sayola stammers, begging her to quit talking nonsense. Cut to the next day, the heavy iron gates of a prison swing open to release a monster. It's Seonggu, an S-rank villain, and the brain behind Yanun Group's tech. A sleek limousine is already waiting. Seonggu slides in, skipping the pleasantries. Status report, now. His lackey nervously reveals they're at 56%, promising a smooth finish by September of next year. Seonggu snaps. That timeline is garbage. He demands everything be operational before this winter ends. The subordinate freezes, shocked by the impossible deadline. Inside the luxury ride, Seonggu stares out the window. Just a little more time, and all of Korea will be crushed beneath his boot. Breaking news flashes across screens nationwide. Dr. Seonggu is free cleared of all charges regarding those unethical experiments. Reports confirm he's jumping straight back into the cockpit of Yanun Group's operations. Back at base, Kim grins at the screen. It's showtime for the main character. The sudden shift in his tone is so dark, it actually sends a shiver down Han's spine. Fast forward 3 months. Winter hits hard. Kim rushes out like a hyperactive kid to play in the snow, annoying Han, who claims she staked out the territory first. The other girls are chilling on the patio with hot coffee, when suddenly, Kim yells at Han to stop making a mess. Her response, she launches a snowball point blank into his face. Chaeyoon hypes him up to counterattack, calling him Mango Stick. Kim doesn't hesitate, he tells them to team up, warning them he's using telekinesis hacks. They scream coward, but the moment Han accepts the challenge, she realizes Chaeyoon has already surrendered. Abandoned and outgunned, Kim asks her, "You ready for this?" A split second later, she's buried under a mountain of snow while Kim and Chaeyoon die laughing. Time for a snack break. They're devouring chocolate cookies, and just as Kim asks Hyul for a refill, Han strikes back. She slams a massive snowball right into the back of his head. The impact is so loud she actually panics, terrified she might have inflicted critical damage. She rushes over, asking if he's still alive. Hyul walks in with the cookies, only to find Kim cracking up. He immediately starts teasing Han, mocking her for actually caring about a villain. Han turns beet red because he's right, but she hides her embarrassment by grabbing a huge chunk of ice and winding up for another throw. Kim realizes he's in danger and sprints away before she can knock him out. Narrative check. The last 3 months have been a vacation. Kim considered triggering an incident, but decided against it. Stardust is already overpowered, reaching her Year 3 strength way ahead of schedule. Hyul is glowing differently now. It looks like she's finally lowered her emotional walls. But public opinion on Egostic absolute trash. The bridge incident was pinned entirely on him, and the internet is tearing him apart with catastrophic levels of hate. His reputation is in the gutter, exactly as expected. The 1.2 million citizens who took the cash simply offloaded their guilt onto Egostic, claiming they were victims of his manipulation. Kim, he loves it. He wanted to be the villain of the story anyway. Now it's just a waiting game for the black catastrophe. Back in the snow, he's treating Han like a human sled, leaving her dizzy. But the fun stops abruptly when Kim buries her in snow again. Subin is loving the drama, while Hyul goes full mom mode, scolding them before someone breaks a bone. Despite the chaos, the vibes are immaculate. Meanwhile, at Yanun Group, panic erupts. Scientists are sprinting for their lives. As the entire facility begins to crumble, Dr. Seonggu is frozen, unable to comprehend how his calculations failed so badly. A colleague screams for him to evacuate, but the doctor refuses to budge, unwilling to abandon his life's work as the ceiling starts to crack. However, he froze, realizing that monstrosity was lunging straight for his throat. His team didn't hesitate. They dragged the scientist out, kicking and screaming before he got shredded into confetti. Meanwhile, Dr. Seonggu is spiraling, trying to process how test subject number 1 Behemoth suddenly developed a mind of its own. Back at the Hero Association HQ, the place was flashing red like a disco from hell. Stardust burst into the president's office, demanding a sitrep. He didn't speak. He just pointed at the surveillance monitors, face pale as a sheet. The live feed showed absolute carnage. Even Stardust felt a chill run down her spine. That thing wasn't just a monster, it was a nightmare. Its destructive output was off the charts. On the street, a driver barely bailed from his car. Seconds before falling, debris flattened it like a pancake. He stood there, shaking, until a bystander screamed at him, "Forget the ride, run for your life." The guy didn't need to be told twice. The black catastrophe was a walking apocalypse tearing through the city. A father shielded his son's eyes, trying to hide the horror show unfolding around them. Suddenly, the beast picked up speed. Stardust yelled, "I'm going in." But the president grabbed her arm, shouting, "Chill out. What exactly are you going to do solo against that kaiju?" Stardust snapped back, "Something, anything is better than sitting here eating popcorn while the city burns." As she said that, all eyes turned to the screen. The monster was charging across the bridge. The same bridge Egotistic had blown up earlier. It plummeted into the river and immediately started thrashing. The room went dead silent. It was drowning. Instantly. Nobody expected a glass cannon weakness like that. The president let out a long sigh. "Just have a full report on my desk by tomorrow morning." Meanwhile, someone was actually enjoying a bucket of popcorn. It was Kim kicking back with the crew. They were vibing, celebrating their plan, going off without a hitch. A few hours later, Haru hopped online to check the public temperature. The narrative had flipped. Netizens were spamming threads demanding justice for Egotistic. One viral post analyzed the black catastrophe, claiming it had high-level intelligence. And if it had time to use that brain, the outcome would have been tragic. Even if 2 or 3 S-class heroes teamed up, their odds of winning were sketchy at best. If that thing had evolved, it would have realized water was its kryptonite and avoided the river entirely. Basically, it could have soloed every hero in Korea. So, conclusion, all hail King Egotistic. Haru couldn't believe the irony, but facts were facts. If Egotistic hadn't wrecked that bridge in Seoul, there wouldn't be a hero alive capable of stopping that beast. She went for a jog to clear her head, wrestling with her moral compass. He's the villain, she's the hero. But deep down, she knew if he needed protection, she'd throw hands for him. Then, breaking news dropped. Yanun Group was exposed as the creator of the Black Catastrophe. Public outrage exploded. But when authorities raided their HQ empty, the entire corporation vanished into thin air overnight. CEO Seonggu and his lead scientists gone without a trace. The squad watched the report in silence, the gravity of the situation sinking in. Hyul shrugged, "Karma's a witch. Hope they all get wiped out." But the other girls were seeing red. They wanted to hunt these fugitives down and end their bloodlines. Kim laughed. "Ladies, relax. Those rats will crawl out of their holes soon enough. More importantly, who's hungry? Let's eat before the strategy meeting." Han rolled her eyes. He's always scheming something. Suddenly the girls gasped. As Kim slapped a map on the table, the Yanyun underground laboratory. Han glared. "Is there something down there we should worry about?" Kim grinned and circled floor B9. "Only the jackpot," he said. "Meet the real behemoth, Yanyun's ultimate weapon." He explained it was designed to be an army of god killers with miracle bodies, capable of nullifying the Night Lord's powers and tanking a literal nuke. The black catastrophe outside, just a buggy prototype. The finished version is world-ending level. He paused, noticing the room's vibe shift to pure horror. Especially Han, who looked sick. "Does this mean I have to destroy my body again?" Assuming getting a fist through the gut feels fantastic, Han asks if he's actually trolling him. But Kim claps back with the excuse that he's chasing a major power-up. Han's not having it. He'd rather Kim settle for catching these hands, instead of throwing himself at a literal monster army. As Kim parries the blows, he banks on the fact that the original canon storyline never mentioned follow-up raids by the Hero Association, so logically, nothing crazy should go down. Over at the Hero Association, the mood is tense. They've picked up multiple biological signatures, buried deep in the lab's basement, confirming the worst: the experimental monsters are very much alive. The chairman grills the Lord of Night on his status. The hero admits he tried to infiltrate last night, but those pitch-black waves coming off the thing completely jammed his shadow powers, making entry impossible. The chairman keeps it 100, with Stardust backup is going to be tricky, and asks if she's still down to breach the base. She hits him with a hard yes, so the chairman greenlights the underground exploration mission at the Yanyan Group ruins. With the plan set, Stardust dives into the massive crater, right on cue. Egostic spawns on a nearby rooftop, admitting that freestyling a mission like this has him feeling a little sketch. If that's the case, Han advises him to RTB return to base, but Egostic reminds him of his rep. He's not about to fear some basic mobs. The girls realize there's no changing his mind, so they just tell him to watch his back. They hit the go live button and Egostic knows the chat is spamming, wondering if he's about to drop a terror attack. But nope, no chaos today. Instead, it's an Urbex vlog. He explains this is the Yanyan Group basement, ground zero for the Black Catastrophe. The million-dollar question, what the hell were they cooking down here? Unable to resist the mystery, he decides they're all going to find out the answer together. Back at Hero HQ, they clock his presence instantly. The chairman tries to radio Stardust, but his aide reports she's too deep, comms are dead. The chairman slams his fist on the table, furious that Egostic thinks he can just crash the party. Then he orders his assistant to grab some popcorn, because this drama just got top tier. As Egostic creeps through the facility, the oppressive darkness starts getting to him. The chat feels the creep factor too, spamming him to stay safe. But Egostic claps back, reminding them he's the villain who shook all of Korea. No way he's sweating some leftover lab rats. Ironically, a noise snaps and he instantly pulls his guns, screaming in terror. False alarm, it's just a cute kitten. He breathes a sigh of relief, but then pauses. What's a cat doing? In a hellhole like this, suddenly, tentacles shoot out, snatching the kitty. Twist the cat and the tentacles are the same entity. Egostic spins around just as the feline morphs into a nightmarish abomination. The beast unhinges its jaw to swallow him whole, and Egostic in full panic mode opens fire, dumping his entire arsenal with telekinesis. The echo of gunfire reaches Stardust, who instantly locks onto the source of the noise. Meanwhile, Egostic flashes back to Han's warnings, realizing he definitely should have listened. The whole power-up idea feels idiotic now. He should have stayed home, grinding his telekinesis skills. But with the beast hot on his tail, it's too late for regrets. He's in too deep now. He has to locate Behemoth no matter what, and then get the heck out. Fear makes him clumsy, and he slips down a flight of stairs watching the monster close the gap. He uses his telekinesis to slam another volley of bullets into it, dealing some serious damage. But his real target was the ceiling. The plan works perfectly. He teleports away at the exact second, burying the monster under tons of rubble. Catching his breath, he wonders just how deep this place goes. Feeling guilty about ditching the camera and his guns, he tries to radio Han, only to find the signal is dead. Now the fear is really setting in. Suddenly, his instincts scream danger, so he drops low, barely dodging a massive surprise attack. It's Stardust in the flesh. She sensed something weirdly familiar. Egostic looks up totally shook while Stardust glares back with zero chill, demanding to know what he's doing there. Egostic flips the question back at her. She claps back that she's a hero, so obviously she's here to clean house. Egostic, sweating a bit, admits she's got a point, but Stardust notes this is actually convenient. She's about to score an unexpected win. She advises him to just give up now. Egostic was absolutely living for that smile, but whoa, he had to phase shift instantly to dodge her attacks. She's throwing literal death blows and actually laughing about it. She knows it's only a matter of time before she catches him. Time out. Egostic calls for a truce. He knows she sees him as a generic villain, but he points to the creepy scenery. They have zero clue what this hellhole is. He proposes a temporary team-up until they hit the bottom floor. Stardust hits him with the interrogation. Why are you even here? His vibe, pure intellectual curiosity. He explains the Yanium group created the Black Catastrophe, so he figured they cooked up some other nightmares down here. Stardust flashes a grin and accepts the deal. Honestly, soloing endless waves of monsters was getting exhausting. She needs a sidekick or a distraction. Egostic plays it cool, but internally, he is absolutely losing his mind. He threw that alliance offer out blindly. Now he's wondering, what is going on? Why did she agree so fast? But check her point of view. She knows she can't nab him with brute force right now. He's too slippery. Better to keep her enemies close. Plus, it's the perfect chance to clear up her doubts about him. Cut to a few minutes later. Stardust is digging through classified files like a detective on a mission. Egostic is just vibing, looking around until bam. A fist slams into the wall inches from his nose. She is fuming. Why are you snooping? She makes it clear. This intel is top secret classified. Back off. He folds immediately, fake crying like a baby because, okay, that was actually terrifying. But low-key, he thinks hanging out with Stardust is way more fun than he expected. Stardust marches to the next zone. Egostic is stunned. She's navigating this maze like she owns it. He's thinking, did she unlock her super senses already? That is seriously OP. They reach the power suppression room. Stardust points at the door. You. Inside. He tries to say no, sees her fist, and decides getting beaten to a pulp isn't on the agenda. In he goes. Inside, he tosses his fedora to the floor. He tries to float it back up with telekinesis. Nothing. The hat stays on the floor. Teleportation glitched out. He's completely powerless. Awkward silence. He tells Stardust the bad news, wondering how this tech even works. Suddenly, crash. Stardust obliterates the wall with a single punch. Dust settles. She shrugs, just checking if the suppression was real, confirming, yes, it is. Egostic is on an emotional roller coaster. First thought, are you crazy? You could have collapsed the room. Second thought, pure fanboy hype. Look at that power progression. She wrecked concrete with raw stats, but then alarms blare. The heavy door slams shut automatically. Locked in, trapped, no powers. This just went from bad to nightmare mode. And it's not just a hero and a villain trapped. It's a man and a woman all alone in the She starts pounding on the walls. Egostic cuts in. Stop, it's useless. He points up. A digital timer. 3 hours until unlock. Don't waste your stamina. Stardust is gasping for air. Her knuckles are split and bleeding from the impact. Egostic spots the blood instantly. His playful vibe vanishes. Don't be so stubborn, he scolds. You're human right now. He demands she give him her hand. She's caught off guard. He gently bandages her wounds. Watch that blush. Stardust is turning beet red. She mumbles, "I'm not thanking you." He teases her, so she punches the wall again out of pure embarrassment. Okay, he backs off. He just tells her to take care of those hands. He decides to nap. 3 hours to kill. He suggests she catch some Z's to save energy. She goes quiet, deep in thought. 1 hour later, Egostic is wide awake. He can't chill. Stardust is physically stronger than most dudes, even without magic. One wrong move and he's toast. Suddenly, they lock eyes across the room. She panics and gets nervous. He's surprised by her reaction, actually feeling a little shy himself. 2 hours in, the air is getting thin. Egostic is exhausted and Stardust is struggling to breathe. Then she breaks the silence with a heavy hitter, that car, on the Soul Bridge. Did you save it? That one hit a nerve he definitely wasn't expecting her to catch on that fast. She doubled down on the question, sending Egostic into full panic mode. He started stammering, insisting that no way villains simply don't have those kinds of morals. But then, Stardust pressed harder, demanding to know the real reason he ordered the rescue of those people on the plane, making him sweat bullets. He desperately reiterated that he only did it to maintain his villainous reputation, nothing else. He claimed that a hero like her completes his existence, so he sees nothing wrong with demanding the hero do her job. After dropping that line, he slumped back, realizing he totally lost his cool. Stardust immediately seized the opening, grilling him on whether he collapsed the bridge, because he knew that monster was crossing. Egostic figured she's been reading too many conspiracy threads online, but he had to admit he was shocked too. It was pure dumb luck. She just stared at him, drilling holes into his soul, leaving him wondering if she was testing him, or if he was missing something crucial. Then it clicked: the bridge, the plane, the black catastrophe incident. She's not reading Reddit theories. She's genuinely connecting the dots, and starting to doubt he's actually a bad guy. Her hero instincts are screaming that something is off after all their interactions, and she's trusting that gut feeling. He knew a weak excuse would only dig his grave deeper, so he pulled the ripcord, bursting into unhinged, maniacal laughter, which clearly threw Stardust off balance. Egostic ramped up the cackle, lying through his teeth that yes, he knew the monster was coming all along. And now he wants to see her next move, figuring this classic comic book rhetoric is his best defense. Stardust asked if he has some kind of superpower to predict the future, and he scoffed, claiming it was all thanks to his elite hacking skills. I mean, he treats Soul's cybergrid like a playground, so digging up dirt on the Yanun group is child's play. Still, Stardust wasn't buying it completely, questioning why a villain is so obsessed with preventing civilian casualties. Egostic played the narcissist card, saying he hates having his spotlight stolen, he does it for the clout. If it weren't for his ego, he wouldn't care if civilians got wiped out. Stardust went dead silent, and Egostic asked if that finally cleared up his villain status. Instead of answering, she stood up and gave him a stare so serious it could freeze hell over, holding it for several long seconds without saying a word. The silence was absolutely terrifying for Egostic. Finally, she just ordered him to move. The lock's timer is ticking down with only 10 seconds left, and the second it hit 0, Stardust stepped up and absolutely obliterated the door with a punch so massive it made Egostic jump. With the path clear, they pushed deeper into the facility, where Egostic spotted a terminal flashing data on a Mantis model teleporter. The warnings were clear, because this thing can teleport and escape. Level A security is mandatory 24/7. Plus, the subject loves attacking from the rear, so they need to stay on high alert. Next, they rolled up to the containment unit for Behemoth Prototype 0. But that massive capsule was shattered from the inside. This is exactly where the black catastrophe broke out. With the cage empty, Egostic called it a day, figuring the exploration was over since there was nothing left to see. But Stardust stopped him cold. If this was just a prototype, the real deal had to be stashed somewhere else. A deduction that stunned Egostic. Her intuition is terrifyingly sharp. Trying to deflect, he recommended they check the left corridor. But Stardust ignored him and marched right, declaring that was the path, sending Egostic's anxiety through the roof. Sure enough, they walked right up to the original Behemoth's capsule, though the control panel was fried, so Stardust wandered off to check other terminals. Egostic stood there in disbelief. She really just left him alone, with a weapon of mass destruction, after he insisted he was a villain. He couldn't wrap his head around why she was so chill, dropping her guard like it was nothing. And honestly, that hurt his villainous pride. Talk is cheap, so he decided to show her, proceeding to jack into the Behemoth system. A furious Stardust whipped around, demanding to know what he was doing, and Egostic smirked. Isn't it obvious? He made it clear, this is a betrayal. Stardust looked ready to explode. Egostic remembered that, in the original storyline, Seong-gu used the Behemoth to go toe-to-toe with Stardust, which meant he finally had the firepower to fight her, for real. Stardust lunged at him, screaming that she was going to beat him to within an inch of his life. But Egostic powered up the Behemoth arm, catching her punch in a mechanical clash that shook the room. Stardust is low-key shook that he's actually matching her raw power. Egostic, He's absolutely loving the view. They dive back in, throwing hands in a brutal close-quarters brawl. They're wrecking everything in their path, but Stardust can't even land a scratch on him. Egostic just laughs, hitting her with that signature mocking tone. "Yo, chill out before you bring the whole roof down on us," he teases. Stardust snaps back, demanding he stop the dirty tricks and fight fair. But Egostic shuts that down real quick. He makes it crystal clear. "Fair, honey, I'm a villain. We don't do fair. It's literally in the job description." Fueled by pure grit, Stardust lunges to lock him down, resulting in another earth-shattering clash of fists that shakes the room. Egostic grins. Now that's how a villain acts, but the vibe shifts instantly. He spots the Mantis teleporter materializing right behind her blind spot. The beast is moving way too fast. Egostic does the math in a split second. He can't teleport both of them out before the strike lands. Stardust is milliseconds away from being sliced and diced, so he makes a crazy move, warping right behind her to use his own body as a human shield. He takes the slash meant for her. Then, ignoring the pain, he obliterates the creature with one massive, powered-up haymaker, turning it into confetti instantly. Stardust is confused, asking, "What just happened?" But Egostic just coughs up a concerning amount of blood and smirks. "Now you owe me one." Poof. He vanishes. Meanwhile, back at Egomania HQ, Han is fuming. Kim's still ghosting them, totally ignoring the people waiting for him at home. But then thud. A noise from the living room. Her face lights up. That means he finally dragged his butt back to base. She rushes out immediately, ready to tear him a new one for cutting comms and showing up so late. But the lecture dies in her throat. She sees his condition and lets out a blood-curdling scream, alarming the other girls who come running to see the drama. They find Kim circling the drain, sporting a massive lethal wound. Lesubin panics, fumbling to call for an ambulance. Han is paralyzed with fear, her mind going blank as she watches Kim losing way too much blood. She's spiraling. Hayu steps up, commanding her to step aside. Han shuffles away, sobbing uncontrollably, while Hayu activates her healing powers on Kim's broken body. A blinding light engulfs the room as the magic kicks in. Meanwhile, a lingering thought remains. Stardust, do not touch Egostic. She stared at the crimson pool, mind racing. Why take a bullet for her when he clearly doesn't care? Cut to the hospital. Kim is absolutely fuming because Subin is treating him like a toddler, refusing to uncuff him even for lunch. Talk about zero dignity. Suddenly, Hayu drops the bomb that he's bouncing for class, with his brother apologizing for the whole secret identity drama, which is wild considering Kim literally paved their way back to school. Kim rolls his eyes, thinking, "Buddy, you should be thanking me." He waves them off for their freshman year. Han and Subin say their polite goodbyes, but the vibe switches instantly. Once they're gone, Han turns ice cold on Kim. "Try escaping again and I'll put you in a permanent coma. Try me." Changing the subject, she points to the heavy relic he snatched. "What's the loot?" Kim smirks. "Just a little acupressure tool." She ain't buying it. "A metal ball for massages, please." Suddenly, whoosh, he magnetizes it straight back to his palm and commands, "Wake up, behemoth." The girls freeze in confusion. Snap. Kim busts out of the handcuffs like they're made of paper, unleashing the beast's power not to kill, but to tie them up tight. That's what you get for nagging the boss. Meanwhile, Stardust is trapped in a nightmare loop, replaying the moment Egostic took that fatal hit for her. Her eyes snap open in a cold sweat, heart hammering against her ribs like a drum. The anxiety is eating her alive. Is he okay? Is Egostic dead? Flash forward 1 month. Haru is back at university zoning out, by the window. Her friend Chehan pokes her. "Girl, you've been in the clouds lately. Spill the tea, what's wrong?" Haru tries the classic "I'm fine" defense, but Chaehyun isn't buying that weak sauce and demands the truth. Cornered, Haru drops a hypothetical. "So, what does it mean when a supervillain saves a hero?" Chaehyun busts out laughing. Haru turns beet red, backtracking fast. "It's just a scenario, hypothetical." She tries to brush it off, blaming it on some novel she's reading. But plot twist, Chaehyun admits she's also obsessed with a web novel lately. She whips out her tablet to show Haru. It's a spicy fanfic romance, shipping Egostic and Stardust. Haru literally faceplants into the desk. The cringe is terminal. Still, deep down, she knows that Psycho is fine. Egostic always has an ace up his sleeve. The guy played all of Korea, like a fiddle. He's definitely alive kicking, and probably plotting something completely unhinged. She wonders when he'll drop his next viral chaos bomb. Back at the villain base, Kim announces a hiatus on Terror, shocking the squad. "I'm taking a villain sabbatical." Han frowns. "Why not just retire?" Kim smirks. "Because I'm outsourcing." Han looks confused. Internally, Kim knows the truth. He can't be the frontman anymore. In the current meta, he's the team's tank, and that's an issue. Stardust blocked Behemoth effortlessly last time. He needs a heavy hitter to challenge her. It's time to level up Stardust by recruiting a new player. Cut to a local cafe. A barista gets ambushed by a simp with a bouquet confessing his undying love. Kim is watching from the corner, realizing this is a canon event from the original story. The girl goes nuclear. "I'm having a trash day." She snaps. "And you come here clowning at my workplace." Do I look easy to you? The guy flees, heart shattered. Kim chuckles, classic. The girl is Seoji Choi, 23 years old. She catches Kim staring and flushes embarrassed he saw her meltdown. But Kim knows her secret. In the original lore, she's Electra, an A-rank villain. Right now, she's LARPing as a normal citizen, but the destructive urge is boiling under her skin. That cafe job is the only thing keeping the lid on. She's a walking time bomb. That night, Seoji leaves work, existential dread kicking in. How long can I fake this? She scans the alley to make sure the coast is clear. Once she's alone, she lets the voltage fly. It starts with a spark in her palm, but soon she's amping up the power, hypnotized by the blue glow. Beautiful light show, a voice cuts through the dark. She jumps. It's him, Agostic. He steps out of the shadows, confessing he's been scouting a powerhouse like her for ages. He drops the offer. Join my crew. Let's blow some stuff up. She scoffs, calling him insane. Not all soups are miserable psychos like you. Agostic grins. He loves the feisty ones. He challenges her. Prove it. Hit me with your best shot. Seoji cackles, sparks flying. She thinks she's got the high ground. Savage. She didn't hesitate for a second, blasting him with high-voltage lightning, but Agostic shut that down instantly, using Behemoth. He mocked her, basically asking, "Is that really all you got?" But instead of getting mad, she was absolutely buzzing with euphoria. Finally, she could unleash her full power without holding anything back. But Agostic cut the fun short, reminding her his offer still stands. Valid for 1 week only. He told her to sleep on it and started walking away, leaving her begging for him to stay. Because that taste of true freedom, it was addictive. Later on, we cut to Kim, screaming, "No way, this can't be real," but Lee Subin shut him down. It was game over for them. Kim immediately exploded, turning his rage on Han. "I didn't raise you like this." Han just hit him with a wicked smirk, waving goodbye while roasting him for getting absolutely crushed in Monopoly. Kim was literally on his knees begging for mercy because he was totally bankrupt. But Han wasn't having it. She called him pathetic and banished him to the sink to wash the dishes. And yikes, that pile was massive. Kim lamented raising such a savage tiger cub. Then she reminded him about his promise to recruit a new team member, asking if he should really be wasting time like this. Kim hit her with a confident, "Yup," because by now that target should have already taken the bait. Cut to Seiji stuck at her day job, dealing with customers and dying of boredom. The routine had her so drained she didn't even realize she placed a cup upside down in the coffee machine. Coffee went everywhere, and the manager started freaking out over the mess. She told Seiji to clock out for a bit and go get some fresh air. Seiji took the chance to slump down outside the cafe, admitting to herself that she used to be totally clueless about who Agostic was. But after listening to the fan club obsess over mangoes all day, she realized this guy was actually kind of a big deal. Plus, she noticed something key: his attacks never hurt innocent people. That sealed it. Joining him actually sounded like a vibe. We get a flashback revealing that before meeting Agostic, she had surprisingly never used her powers the right way. Her parents absolutely despised superhumans, so they kept her abilities on total lockdown, basically turning her into an overloaded battery ready to burst. All that pent-up stress turned her destructive instincts into a nasty habit. And now, she couldn't get Agostic's offer out of her head as the days ticked by. The urge just kept getting stronger until she was straight up desperate. Finally, on the evening of the 7th day, she clocked out and headed home like always. Suddenly, she heard a weird noise nearby. She spun around, face lighting up with excitement, shouting out to Agostic, "What took you so long?" But nope, it was just a grumpy stray cat hissing at her. Seiji's heart sank. She thought she'd missed her one shot to finally let loose with her powers. But right then, Agostic materialized behind her, waiting for her answer. Seiji didn't even hesitate. "I'm in." She grabbed his hand, swearing she'd do whatever he wanted, as long as they could go smash something right now. Agostic, looking a little rattled, agreed, and instantly teleported them straight to the Ego Mansion. The other girls were already there, and he announced that Seiji was officially joining the squad. Seiji dropped a polite, "Nice to meet you." Lee Subin and Hyul were super chill and welcomed her. However, Han just pouted, annoyed that he dragged in yet another gorgeous girl. Agostic cut in to tell Seiji that the jealous one's name is Han. Then he peeled off his mask to reveal his real identity, Kim, or as the world knows him, Agostic. Seiji's jaw dropped. He was the insanely hot guy. From the cafe last week, Kim awkwardly confirmed it, and Seiji immediately turned bright red. Meanwhile, the other girls were shook hearing her call him hot. Seiji was dying of embarrassment, and her powers spiraled out of control instantly, short-circuiting the entire house, plunging them into total darkness. Han pointed out it was Seiji's electric blast, while Lee Subin froze, surprised by a weird tingling sensation rushing through her body. Hyul felt it too, and was totally amazed. Suddenly, a flashlight beam cut through the dark landing right on Seiji. It was Cha-Yun, demanding they fix the power because she had stuff to get done. Elsewhere, Haru was scrolling online watching the internet melt down, desperate for the return of the great Agostic. And, funnily enough, she just leveled up in the official Mangastic fan cafe, proving she's a hardcore stan. but she was actually annoyed she had no idea what she was even doing, remembering how Seola hyped her up for climbing the ranks so fast. She flopped onto the bed, cringe spiraling over egoistic. Was he okay? Her brain wouldn't shut up about. That time he saved her from getting absolutely wrecked at the academy. Seiji had already apologized to the squad, feeling totally responsible. But Han didn't care, she was just bored and loved the chaos. Then Kim tapped Seiji's shoulder, signaling for a private chat. They headed out to the mansion's patio, where Kim made it clear, 0 spectators. Just them. She could go full nuclear with her powers here. That threw Seiji off, but she didn't hesitate to say yes. He smirked, challenging her to land a hit. Kim teleported instantly, and Seiji didn't hold back, unleashing a massive omnidirectional blast. Even egoistic was shook, she was way stronger than he thought. Predictably, the entire area around Seiji was incinerated instantly. She was gassed after dumping that much mana. Kim handed her a water bottle, asking if she got it out of her system. With him, she never had to hold back. Just to be safe, Seiji double-checked. These attacks don't actually hurt normies, right? He confirmed it, calling himself a pacifist. Seiji cracked up. Guy thinks he's Gandhi just because he doesn't body people. Curious, she asked his age. Kim did the math and figured he was turning 23 this year. Seiji realized they were the same age. She couldn't get why he was acting so stiff and formal, especially since he'd basically stalked her whole life before this. Drop the act, talk normal, she demanded. Kim shook on it, officially welcoming her to the Ego Squad. Seiji physically cringed at the name. His naming sense was tragic. A few days later, the grind started. Kim was coaching her, telling her to visualize shooting lightning downward while wrapping her feet in static. She tried it, and actually rocketed upward. The landing, though, total faceplant. A half-asleep Han wandered in, wondering why they were up so early. Kim explained it was special prep, to counter Stardust in the next raid. Seiji was skeptical, but Kim admitted it sounded weird. Yet he knew for a fact, thanks to the original plot, that it worked. He told her to focus, blast the ground, coat the feet. Seiji started charging up, feeling unsure. Then boom, liftoff. She was actually flying. She couldn't believe her powers could do that. Kim called it a day right there. Session over. Han happily brought water to Seiji, who started chugging it in an overly dramatic fitness model pose. Kim stared blankly. What, she snapped. You reek of sweat. Go shower, he deadpanned. Raging Seiji chucked the bottle at his head. It's a workout genius. She assumed he was just flexing his fancy. Telekinesis. Kim summoned Behemoth, thinking she wanted to throw hands. Seiji didn't flinch, telling him to bring it on. As they brawled, Han watched with folded arms, wishing everyone would just do their job. Cut to 1 month later, Seiji was training hard, in video games. Han and Kim were backseat gaming the whole time. Suddenly they froze. Someone was yelling at them, for gaming way too late. Seiji frantically hid the console controller, switching on a flashlight to act like they were strategizing. Lee Subin wasn't buying it. She saw they were hyped for the raid, happening at dawn, but she clocked the hidden controller immediately. Red Dead Redemption 2. She smiled. That terrifying sweet smile. Bedtime. Now. They were petrified. The girls scrambled in panic. Kim tried to sneak away too, but Subin barked at him to stay. From a safe distance, the girls watched in horror. Subin was absolutely ruthless when angry, forcing Kim through a torture workout. Lesson learned, never ever trigger Lee Subin. The next day, the Hero Association pinged Stardust about an attack in Seoul. Civilians within 350 meters were already evacuated, 0 casualties. Stardust rushed over, hoping it was egoistic. But when she landed, Seiji was waiting. She introduced herself as Electra. Stardust was visibly let down. Still, she ordered Electra to surrender or get taken down by force. Electra answered with a voltage spike blasting lightning. She was there to fight, and Stardust was about to feel the heat. Stardust isn't playing games anymore. That scratch on her face, yeah, she took that personally. But before the beatdown continues, let's rewind 1 week. We see Kim trying to teach Seiji a glorious ultimate move. He calls it the Lightning Fist. Seiji immediately roasted the name, claiming his sense of style was trash. Big mistake that really ticked Kim off. See, she came up with that name in the original story. Anyway, she told him to stop just spamming lightning bolts. Instead, visualize the energy coiling around his hand like a spring, then clinch that fist tight and let it rip. Also, it's all about focus. He needs to channel every spark into that knuckle sandwich until it's ready to burst. After taking notes, she demonstrated the move herself, unleashing a punch so devastating it turned the landscape into Swiss cheese. How's that for impact? Kim asked. Seiji had to admit it was sick. Kim's order, grind that one move solo. For the entire week leading up to the attack, just to give Stardust a genuine jump scare, Seiji called him a psycho for going that hard on the hero. Egostic just shrugged, claiming he's a villain with lore. Seiji thought he was yapping nonsense. Back to the brawl. Electra taunts Stardust, asking if she's running on empty, forcing the hero to dance around a storm of lightning strikes per second. Meanwhile, Egostic, is chilling in the background, grabbing popcorn in the first row for this free entertainment. Stardust is getting ticked off, realizing she has to tank the high voltage just to close the gap. She pushes through, but the second she gets in range, Elektra stomps the ground to trigger a massive shockwave, waiting to see if the hero can survive a point-blank nuke. Stardust gets swallowed by the light. Elektra starts trash-talking, thinking this boss fight was way too easy. But nope, Stardust literally slaps the energy away with her bare hand like it's nothing, walking out completely unscratched. That casual display of power, it starts making Elektra sweat. Just to be safe, she backflips to safety, realizing Stardust is looking absolutely terrifying right now. Actually, Elektra's thinking, this girl is a monster. How did Egostic ever survive trolling someone this overpowered? From the sidelines, Egostic notices it. Stardust is pulling a full Maharaga maneuver. She's adapting. She's building immunity to Elektra's attacks. Turns out Egostic buffed Seiji's skills for a specific reason, to farm XP for Stardust and boost her durability stats. In the original plot, she'd be crying and rolling around from these hits. But here she's a tank, and now Elektra is the one in the danger zone. Stardust offers a mercy rule, give up now, and I'll take you in without breaking bones. To Elektra, that sounds like a miserable joke. Don't say I didn't warn you. Stardust launches herself like a human missile, but Elektra charges her fist for a head-on collision. The impact is so violent that Egostic has to teleport to a completely different building just to stay safe, watching the rest of the fight from a drone feed. Smoke clears. Stardust is standing tall, barely messed up her hair. She dominated that fist bump, while Seiji's arm is completely wrecked. Stardust remembers Elektra mentioned fighting for someone, so she demands to know who the puppet master is. Seiji looks at her like she's a clown for even asking. Fine, Stardust growls. You can tell me all about it from inside a prison cell. Suddenly, a hand lands on Seiji's shoulder out of nowhere, and blink they vanish right in front of Stardust. She freezes. She recognizes that aura. She spins around, and there he is. Egostic, long time no see hero. The crowd goes absolutely feral, because their favorite villain is back. But wait, why is he cradling a gorgeous girl in his arms? The chat floods with accusations. He's cheating on Stardust right in front of her. Someone types Aristic, praising the guy for having infinite riz. Stardust gasps, shocked he's breathing. Egostic smirks, did you really think I'd die? Too bad for you, right? But to his surprise, Stardust sighs, thank God you're okay. Egostic blinks confused. Since when does the superhero worry about the bad guy's safety? He totally misses that she's blushing like a tomato. Seiji ruins the moment, groaning to Egostic. What took you so long? Sorry, he shrugs. I wanted to watch the season finale from the best seat. But Stardust watches them whispering and snaps. The atmosphere gets heavy. Stardust isn't a hero anymore. She's a beast. Straight from hell, leaking, killing intent like never before. Seiji is trembling. Why does she look like a demon? Stardust has officially lost it. Egostic scratches his chin. I think I might know why. She's tearing through them like wet paper, looking like the embodiment of righteous justice. But look closer. That isn't justice. That is pure, unadulterated jealousy. Stardust demands to know why he crashed the party, and Egostic hits her with, just here to save my partner. Boom. You can practically hear Stardust's teeth grinding. That partner label triggered her hard. Egostic flexes a hologram, revealing the shadowy outlines of his entire crew. He drops the name Ego Group, a full-blown villain alliance. Now Stardust is actually sweating. And the kicker, he claims he's got more heavy hitters like Elektra on his roster. The days of him playing the lone wolf are officially over. He tells her to stay woke from now on. And that warning isn't just for her, it's a heads up for the entire Republic of Korea. Then he commands Elektra to use Thunderbolt, which instantly ticks her off. Since she explicitly told him to stop treating her like a Pokemon, Stardust sidesteps the blast, giving Egostic the perfect opening to peace out via teleportation. He taunts her, basically saying she needs to level up if she ever hopes to catch him. She screams, demanding his location. Left on red, she takes her frustration out on a concrete wall, obliterating it while trying to process this gross feeling in her chest. Her brain replays them, flirting right in front of her, totally shameless, conjuring up a romantic scenario that honestly never even happened. Plus, it looks like his entire squad is female. So the next time she crosses paths with Egostic, she's ending him for being a total player. Meanwhile, our boy Egostic teleports into a literal dead end. He smashes through the brick with one punch. Bingo. He's exactly where the original web novel said to go, leading him straight to a massive obsidian gate. He steps inside and gets a warm welcome from the Witch of Vines. She's never seen his face before, so she hits him with the classic, "Who are you and what do you want?" Egostic cuts to the chase. He needs a high-level sealing spell on some personal items, specifically a diary where he's documented every single event in this world up to right now. The second diary, that's where he plans to log the future spoilers. The witch eyes the gorgeous gems he brought as payment. She's vibing with them and asks, How long do you need this lock to hold? Egostic doesn't hesitate until the day I die. The witch takes a deep breath and gets to work. She starts weaving the sealing magic over the books, and her aura explodes into glowing particles, lighting up the room. After the light show fades, she confirms, "From this moment on, these pages are for your eyes only." Egostic thanks her and turns to leave, but the witch stops him in his tracks. She has one last thing to say. "The path you're choosing, it's going to be brutal." Egostic just smiles. "I know. It's the only way." And with that, he teleports to a rooftop overlooking the city. This is it. The moment he solidifies his reason for existing in this universe. His purpose is Stardust. Period. Massive events are about to trigger, and he silently begs Stardust to just trust the process. He'll be her silent guardian. Suddenly, his phone buzzes. It's Han demanding he get his butt home as soon as possible because they're grilling eel for dinner. The whole crew is waiting. Egostic assures him he's on his way. He hangs up, his expression shifting, thinking, this is it. The start of the Phase 1 finale. Cut to Ansan National Park. Inside a lab, scientists announce the time has come. They activate a sequence, unearthing something massive. A colossal robot rises up and immediately starts wrecking everything in sight. Meanwhile, Dr. Songgu addresses his crew, declaring it's finally time to crush the Republic of Korea for all the oppression they've suffered. Parallel scene. Haru is at school eavesdropping on classmates who are absolutely simping over Electra. Then green hair drops a bomb. She's definitely dating Egostic. Haru instantly panics, but she breathes a sigh of relief when the other guy argues, nah, they're definitely just co-workers. But green hair pushes back. Did you see them whispering? And nobody, I mean nobody, Princess carries a friend like that. Brown hair shakes his head. That's exactly why it's not real. He hugged her way too casually. He did it for the cameras because there's zero romance there. If he actually had a crush on her, he wouldn't be grabbing her in public like that. Green hair pauses. Okay, fair point. Brown hair continues. It's just common sense. Look at Egostic's track record. The guy only has eyes for Stardust. But then he adds, I kind of feel bad for her though. She looked like she was about to cry on the live stream. Imagine how she felt watching her buff husbando, scooping up another girl. Anyway, green hair is still firmly captain of the Electra ship. Yo, word on the street, is ego vibes way better with Electra than with those Stardust simps. That comment hit a nerve. Bam. Haru slams her desk, absolutely fuming. The boys freeze, terrified they just signed their death warrants. Then just before class starts, Haru gets a buzz. Emergency call. She doesn't waste a second. She sprints to the roof, radioing HQ. Is it a villain? Give me a sit rep. HQ screams back. Unknown. Colossal weapon. Incoming from Southeast Seoul, heading north. Stardust touches down at the scene and... whoa. She's speechless. It's the Yannion Group's massive mech, a literal giant robot. She has zero clue how to stop this beast. And yeah, it's packing heavy artillery. The mech starts blasting, tearing up the highway. A family car is right in the crosshairs. Swoosh. Stardust catches the whole car midair, carrying them to safety just in time. She sets them down and yells, run, get as far away as you can. They thank her for saving their lives, and she dives back into the fray. But then, Dr. Songgu's voice cuts in. Hey government lapdog, he taunts. Think you can snuff out Yannion's last dying flame. Stardust charges a massive punch, but whack, the robot strikes first. She goes flying. She takes heavy damage, totally blindsided by that power, and smashes straight into a mountainside. She bounces back instantly, ready to rumble. But then she pauses, confused. Dr. Songgu is arguing with someone else. The robot starts glitching out, moving weird. Egostic gives the signal, Electra, do your thing. The massive machine powers down completely. Egostic hacks Stardust's comms. We see the girls have already bagged the scientists. Meanwhile, Egostic plays the heel. Shame to let this Yannion toy go to waste, he cackles. He starts laughing like a total maniac, really selling the villain act. Electra whispers to Han. He looks like a brainless psycho. Han shrugs. You'll get used to it. Egostic teases Stardust. I'm itching to level the city with this beauty. Think you can stop me? He challenges, ramping up the tension. Stardust grins, eyes lighting up. I'll stop you whatever it takes. She launches herself at him, pure adrenaline. Han updates Egostic power calibration complete. Egostic is hyped. Time for a real power-up. He yanks the lever and the robot roars to life. It clashes with his favorite heroine. Boom, fists collide. Stardust gets pushed back, but just barely. That all you got against the Octopaz? Egostic mocks her. You really thought that would work? He orders Han crank it up a notch. Round 2. They go at it again, but Stardust is weaving through attacks like water. She's getting faster, sharper. Suddenly dodging this giant hunk of metal is child's play. Egostic is loving it. She's evolving. And hey, he might actually go home in one piece today. Unlike those other times, he almost met the Grim Reaper. But meanwhile, at a Korean military base, the brass reveal the big red button. The president is ready to strike. He's convinced nuking it is the only way to kill that metal beast. No hesitation. He slams the button. Sirens wail across the entire base. Back on the field, Han pushes the mech to 100% speed. But Stardust, she's untouchable. She's dodging everything effortlessly. She's actually smiling. She is having a blast playing hero versus villain with her beloved Agostic. Explosions everywhere. More power, Han Agostic yells. One more level up. They clash fists again. K-boom. The shockwave rips through the air, absolutely brutal. You can do it, Agostic shouts to Han. But Stardust, she thinks he's cheering for her. Hyped up on that misunderstanding, she smashes through the robot's armor with a supercharged strike. She grows stronger every single second. She clashes with Egotistic, and honestly, she's absolutely loving the thrill. Suddenly, Egotistic swings a massive mechanical arm, but Stardust catches the metal limb with her bare hands. She shifts her stance, glowing with confidence because she's finally downloading the bot's movement patterns. She cockily tells Egotistic to stay put and wait for her. Big mistake, that arrogance leaves her wide open. Bam, Egotistic lands a brutal hit, mocking her for thinking she had this fight figured out. He calls out her hubris, but Stardust snaps back, demanding he zip it immediately. At this rate, his trash talk is going to make her go deaf. As Egotistic continues flexing his power level, she hits max throttle. She creates an opening and pierces one of the mech's legs. Han instantly spots the structural failure. He tears into Ghost for slacking off, forcing the villain to jump back on the controls and get serious. Against Stardust. With cinematic flair, he commands the octopus engine to hit maximum output. But seconds pass. And crickets. Absolutely nothing happens. He turns to glare at Han. Totally confused, he screams for max power again. Turns out Han just didn't feel like listening. Han finally complies, looking completely over it. As the mech roars to full capacity, Egotistic taunts Stardust, asking if she thinks she can keep up with this machine, especially at this insane speed. To drive the point home, he unleashes a barrage way more savage than before. Miraculously, Stardust weaves through every strike, but the reality check hits she can't play around anymore. Meanwhile, the livestream chat is absolutely losing its mind, witnessing this clash of titans. Seeing Stardust take damage yet keep going has everyone convinced she's S-rank material, assuming she survives this deathmatch. Inside the cockpit, the girls are tearing into Egotistic, because he's piloting like a maniac. This gives Stardust even more motivation to scrap that giant metal monstrosity, mostly to get those girls away from her beloved Egotistic. Plus, irony check, if he wasn't piloting this thing, would be unbeatable. But now, she's got the juice. She slams into the mech with earth-shattering force. Egotistic is actually starting to sweat over Stardust's insane growth rate. Even Elektra notices Stardust is hitting harder than she was seconds ago. She warns the engine is redlining. They have to end this within a maximum of 10 minutes. Egotistic, totally unbothered, just shrugs and says, they might as well. Enjoy the show while it lasts. Elektra is not amused and smacks him upside the head to remind him that the mech is literally a ticking bomb, while Lazubin is trying not to puke from the turbulence. Stardust barely dodges another swipe when her comms buzz. The Hero Association screams at her to evacuate immediately. The sudden order throws her off. They drop a bombshell. The president of South Korea just authorized a launch, firing a nuclear missile straight at the octopus. If they're in the blast radius, they're vaporized. Stardust asks if they've lost their minds. A weapon that size won't just kill the villain. It'll wipe out civilians too. Besides, she's got this fight under control. Why make such a brain-dead call now? The association explains it's all optics. The president thinks he'll look weak if he just sits there. Politics is a dirty game and unpredictable as hell, so they order her to shut up and retreat. Meanwhile, Egotistic calls out, asking why she's frozen in place, since his octopunch is fully charged and itching to fire. Stardust can't believe it. They actually pause the fight to wait for her. For a bunch of villains, they've got surprisingly good sportsmanship. It's obvious they have zero clue a nuke is inbound. That settles it. She rips out her earpiece, going rogue against the association's orders. Without a second thought, she rockets into the sky to intercept the missile. Back at Hero HQ, an assistant panics, asking what they should do now that Stardust has gone rogue. But the association president just says to wait. Then with zero shame, he grabs a bucket of popcorn to watch the drama unfold, claiming this is better than his favorite soap opera. Egotistic is confused. Why did Stardust just bail? He figures she must be fleeing the scene. But up in the air, her mind is racing. She knows the government has a million reasons to nuke Egotistic, considering he's an A-rank villain who livestreams his crimes for clout. Yet, try as she might, she just can't bring herself to hate him. So today, she's making a stand. It was payback time, her turn to save the guy she cared about. With that locked in her mind, she kicked her thrusters into overdrive, burning every ounce of energy she had. In a heartbeat, she was closing the gap on that warhead flashbacks flooding her brain. Like that time Egostic snatched her from the jaws of death back at the Haenoon hideout. That memory alone, it was all the confirmation she needed. Zero hesitation. She lunged forward, slamming her hands directly onto the hull of the missile. The G-force was insane, instantly knocking her back. Meanwhile, down on the ground, Agostic clocked a massive energy spike heading his way. Though Han and the squad were faster on the uptake, they instantly ID'd the threat. It wasn't a person. It was a nuke-level missile. Agostic was shook. Why the hell was Stardust risking her neck to save him? It didn't make any sense. Stardust, for her part, was going full beast mode up there, straining against the engine's thrust. Crunch. She managed to crush a section of the fuselage, creating the exact opening she needed. Seizing the moment, she wrenched the missile off course, forcing the payload straight up toward the stratosphere. Agostic immediately pinged Han, demanding to know the source of the attack, but she snapped, "Zip it, I'm tracking," eyes glued to her screens. Seconds later, she got a lock on the launch signature, and the results were a total bombshell. That missile was launched directly from the presidential office of Korea. Han scrambled for a kill code, but they were out of time. The timer was ticking down 10 seconds to detonation. Agostic's blood ran cold. Meanwhile, the president was sitting back looking smug, thinking he'd just pulled off a masterstroke, totally oblivious that Stardust was hauling his dirty work into the sky. Somewhere else, Seola was just chilling out shopping, completely unaware her bestie was moments away from being vaporized. Agostic was sweating bullets, watching his favorite frenemy, literally 3 seconds away from being blown into a million pieces. 2 seconds on the clock. She ignited her thrusters one last time, hurling the warhead deep into the atmosphere. It breached the exosphere, and boom. A colossal explosion lit up the sky, visible to Agostic and the crew. Even Hyul caught the flash from her high school window, left totally speechless. The exact same look of shock was plastered on the association president's face, and the president of Korea. Back at base, Han and Elektra were frantic. What happened to Stardust? Agostic couldn't hide it. He was genuinely terrified for the world's main character. High above, she was in freefall, completely drained after pulling off that miracle. In a flash of purple energy, Agostic teleported to her side, scooping her up in midair, and he still couldn't wrap his head around what she just did. Stardust blinked open her eyes, realizing he'd come for her even as he started lecturing her, for almost throwing her life away on a suicide mission nobody asked for. But she didn't argue, she just stayed quiet. Internally, Agostic was fuming. So reckless. She was just showing off her monstrous strength again. Then he panicked. Wait, was she pissed? Why was she looking at him with those intense eyes? He figured it was because she was currently being cradled by her arch-nemesis. So he leaned into the villain persona, mocking her, accusing her of trying to bail on their fight like a coward. The scolding just kept coming. Then it hit him. If that missile had actually connected, if the giant weapon hadn't been stopped, he would have been vaporized and everyone else along with him. So the question remained, why did she save him? He didn't have to wait long for an answer. Stardust looked up, voice soft, and whispered, "Now, we're even." That threw Agostic for a loop. And that final smile before she passed out, it was terrifying. It hinted that maybe she knew the truth, that he wasn't actually a villain, despite all his efforts to play the bad guy. Shaking it off, he descended back to solid ground, to lay Stardust somewhere safe. Luckily, her vitals were stable. He couldn't help but admire her absurd durability. Literally any other hero would have been deleted from existence trying a stunt like that. Regaining focus, he pinged Han for a sit rep. She dropped the bomb. The order came from the top, the president of Korea himself. Agostic shook his head. Humans in this world were wild cards, totally unpredictable. And since the whole city just watched Stardust yeet a missile into space to save him, the public was going to lose their minds. They were already desperate to ship the hero and the villain, and this would only add fuel to the fire. That had to stop. Han cut the feed. "We're going live," he ordered. Han smirked. She'd been waiting for that call. A moment later, the on-air signal lit up, and Agostic was broadcasting to the world. The chat was exploding. Everyone wanted to know if Stardust survived since the cameras cut out when she hit the sky. Agostic was ready to give them the tea. He panned the camera over, revealing Stardust lying there unconscious. The internet went into meltdown. They thought she lost. Comments started flooding in, calling Agostic a monster for hurting a lady like that. But Agostic cut through the noise. "Wasn't me," he declared coldly. "If you want to blame someone, look at the presidential office. They're the ones who wanted. So get this, the government decides to drop a literal nuke on Seoul. And the mastermind, the president himself. Why? Because he wanted to flatten the entire city just to take out one single villain. Obviously, the public completely lost it. They realized a heartless monster was running the country, and the president started sweating bullets because everyone is calling him a tyrant." Right in the middle of this PR nightmare, Stardust catches a glimpse of Agostic standing on a crumbling skyscraper. By the next morning, the news channels are screaming that the government is facing its worst crisis in history, with massive protests demanding the president's immediate impeachment. On top of that, the International Hero Federation is already debating bumping Stardust up to S-Class. But here's the kicker, they are considering the same upgrade for the villain. Agostic. Seol Ah was hyping up her friend until a reporter drops a bombshell. revealing that while Stardust's promotion talks just started, Egostic has been under review for months. An insider from the association claims an official announcement is dropping by the end of the month. Immediately, Seola killed the TV because her secretary knocked on the door. Naturally, she told her to come in. Looking like a total queen with her kitten resting on her lap, the secretary updates her. They have successfully bought out the presidential candidates for the upcoming election. They all swore loyalty to the Yoon Seon group. Plus, the chairman just announced he is handing over full control to his daughter Seola. She smiled, finally getting exactly what she wanted, and happily dismissed the secretary to leave the room. Once she was alone, she whispered a thank you to Egostic for handing her the chance to swallow the entire Republic of South Korea whole, an opportunity she plans to milk for all it is worth. Back at Ego Base, Kim called a family meeting because there is a major issue with Stardust. She is suspecting something impossible. Han asked what the deal was, and Kim reveals that Stardust thinks he isn't actually a villain. Seo-eun looked at him like he was delusional. It is ridiculous that he still thinks he is the bad guy. The whole squad agrees he is basically a weirdo. Like the guy definitely has a few loose screws. Kim yelled that he is not weird, claiming he only blows stuff up when he is bored, and the number of hostages he has taken is off the charts. But Ha-eun reminded him, yeah, but you always let them go. Lee Subin even raised her hand, admitting she was one of those hostages. Kim argues that he has wiped out tons of villains, but Seo-eun thinks he is just bragging about taking out the trash. Han even thanked him, saluting hero Egostic. Kim insists he has been living his life, grinding hard as both a villain and a civilian, but Seo-eun shut him down fast. That is irrelevant. It just proves he isn't sane. She asks if he was seriously trying to roleplay as a villain this entire time. Kim quickly said yes, earning a roast from Seo-eun. She told him he lost the plot the moment he decided to pretend to be a bad guy. Just looking at him, it is obvious he is fake. That is literally why she joined his crew. She knew he wouldn't do anything actually evil. And just to be clear, that giant weapon would have dusted Seoul without his intervention. Plus, Stardust would have been cooked if the enemy went all out from the start. Han backed that up. Even Lee Subin mentions that he was carefully regulating his power level during the fight. Han adds that you would have to be pretty dense not to realize he isn't a villain. Kim screams that Stardust is the embodiment of justice, so it makes no sense for her to doubt him when he is a criminal on the verge of S-class status due to his threat level. Then Seo-eun clarified that just because Stardust is justice incarnate, it doesn't mean she is brain dead. Anyone looking at him would figure out he is not a bad guy. Seeing him so shook, she wondered if she should have been that brutally honest. But Han confirmed someone had to say it, and now the air is cleared. Kim thinks to himself that he doesn't do villain stuff because he is crazy. He does it to protect Stardust and this world. If Stardust figures that out, she won't fight him seriously. If she holds back, she won't grow stronger, meaning the world gets destroyed by future threats. Suddenly he screamed, "This cannot be happening," scaring the life out of Han because that outburst came out of nowhere. But Kim reached a conclusion. Stardust needs someone to constantly remind her that he is a terrible, evil guy. With that plan locked in, he told the girls he is heading to Busan for a bit. Coincidentally, Haru was already in the city, totally amazed, staring up at the massive skyscraper where she will be staying for a few days. A security guard stepped up, recognizing her as Miss Haru. She gave a nervous nod, letting the bellboy grab her bags to haul them up to the suite. Honestly, Haru felt like she should have just handled the luggage herself. But before she could spiral, a familiar voice cut through the noise. It was her bestie Seol, absolutely gushing about Haru's major glow-up. Haru was totally confused by the hype, acting all shy. But Seol, didn't give her time to think, grabbing her hand to go toast the birth of South Korea's very first S-class hero. Walking into the suite, Haru's jaw hit the floor, pure luxury, with a killer balcony view. She told Seol, this was unreal. But the hostess was already moving on, inviting her to feast on some Michelin star-level grub prepared by her private chefs. Although Haru completely lost her cool when she spotted a mango frappe on the menu. One sip and she was practically in heaven. Seol chuckled, admitting she had no clue Haru was such a mango stan. She figured the mango obsession was actually about egotistic, since internet trolls call him mangastic. Honestly, Seol kind of wished she had a dedicated villain like that. But Busan was full of absolute nobodies, making it nearly impossible for her to grind her way up to S-rank status. So she dropped a bombshell. She was thinking of using this chance to head straight for Seoul. She wanted to throw hands with egotistic just once. Haru shut that down immediately, panic written all over her face. She warned that the guy is obsessed with her Stardust persona. If Seol steps in and interferes, he might snap and do something reckless. Haru reminded her about the Seoul Bridge disaster. Some chaotic forces just can't be controlled. Seol saw her point, and Haru drove it home by reminding her that Busan would be defenseless without her. Suddenly, Seol smartwatch buzzed with an alarm. Someone was messing with her office desk. She told Haru she had to handle some urgent business at the company, telling her to keep vibing with the food. Haru didn't mind one bit. Back in her office, Seol-ah scanned the desk, wondering what triggered the sensor. She found nothing and assumed it was just a glitch. But her heart stopped when she saw her cat levitating straight into her arms. A voice from the shadows confirmed it wasn't a glitch. He had tripped the security on purpose, just to see her. It was him, the one and only egotistic. Seol-ah demanded to know why he was crashing her office. Was he here to turn himself in? Egotistic scoffed at the idea, revealing he only came because she caught his interest. He exposed her as the real owner of the Yoon Seon group, cosplaying as a hero, while secretly plotting to take over South Korea. Seol-ah clapped back, admitting she thought the villain Egotistic was secretly protecting the country while simping for Stardust. But now it looked like he was volunteering for a stay at a maximum security prison. Egotistic started laughing at her guts, exactly what he expected from the hidden boss of the original story. She wasn't just some random NPC. But right now, she was still a total rookie. Seol-ah's nerves spiked. What the hell was this masked psycho planning? She was stunned when he dropped a proposal. No riddles, just a hand extended offering a straight-up alliance. He knew perfectly well that you can't defeat a hidden villain with just punches. He needed to get her on the same boat. At that exact moment, Stardust's spidey sense went haywire, screaming that something terrible was about to go down. Meanwhile, Egotistic and Seol-ah were locked in a hostile stare-down. Egotistic broke the silence, calling out her Hero of Justice act. It was nothing but a mask, because her true endgame was total domination of South Korea, and he was ready to help her snatch that crown. However, Seol-ah played it cool, pointing out that he only causes chaos for his own gain. Why shouldn't she just hand him over to the cops right now? Egotistic calmly slid a USB drive across the desk. He knew she was swamped cleaning up the mess from the Yeon Group bankruptcy and managing the fallout. Not to mention pulling strings in the shadows with the new government coming into power. He told her to take the gift as a sign of good faith. With the terms set, he announced he'd be back in 1 week for her answer, leaving Seol-ah completely rattled. Her heart was pounding out of her chest. Egotistic was way more intimidating in person than she ever imagined. She stared at the memory stick, realizing the terrifying scope of his information network and capital. Add in the extreme loyalty of his fandom, and he was a villain with massive influence. He held sway over Korean politics and culture. He wasn't just a villain, he was a revolutionary anti-hero. But still, he saw right through her ambitions and offered a partnership. From the very start, she was dancing in the palm of his hand. At this point, saying no wasn't really an option. Seol-ah hopped onto her computer curiosity, peeking as she clicked on a mysterious folder. The file name alone was a power move, essential intel for Seol-ah to dominate South Korea. She opened it and her jaw practically hit the floor. It was a total goldmine. We are talking about high-level classified secrets that money literally cannot buy. With this arsenal, she could have the entire country wrapped around her finger before the year ends. Just imagining the power trip had her feeling absolutely ecstatic. Meanwhile, Kim was catching the train to Seoul, already complaining about what a massive drag this whole ordeal was. Like seriously having to commute again. Fast forward 1 week and he was back in Busan tracking down Seol-ah to get some feedback. He needed to know if his gift hit the mark. Her response: she isn't even going to ask which dark web corner he pulled that intel from. As for the alliance proposal, it was a no-brainer. She is all in. She even told him to drop the formalities, they are speaking casually from now on. Egotistic was cool with that, partners should be chill, right? But then bam, she slid a contract across the table. The fine print, mandatory meetings, once a week. He was baffled why the micromanagement, her logic that is just how teamwork makes the dream work. According to her teammates need FaceTime. Egotistic, however, was not vibing with the idea of a weekly pilgrimage down to Busan. A weekly commute, hard pass. He threw shade, asking if the massive Yunseon group just had way too much free time on their hands. He told her to save her time. Seol-ah countered, offering to come up to Seoul herself, but our guy shut that down immediately. Weekly meetups were physically impossible. Seol-ah tried to haggle. Okay, every 10 days, Egotistic pushed back hard. Make it every 20. They went back and forth until Seol-ah said 15 days. Egotistic finally sighed and compromised. 2 weeks. They would meet every 2 weeks. Deal sealed. But then she dropped the bomb. Why are you so obsessed with Haru? That question made him sweat a little. She had figured it out. She looked him dead in the eye and called his bluff. He is trying to power level Stardust, isn't he? It is like he is grinding XP for a video game character, and the whole villain act is just a means to an end. Of course, she admitted this was just a hunch based on hard evidence. Egotistic realized he couldn't underestimate her. This girl is sharp. She nailed every single detail. Then she admitted she was jealous. Every time he stages an attack, Haru's power levels spike through the roof. So she wants the same treatment. She wants him to boost her too. The atmosphere shifted, getting spicy as she leaned in, bringing her lips inches from his. Thwack. Egotistic flicked her right on the forehead, killing the mood instantly. What is your deal, you crazy heroine? Cola pouted, annoyed that he blocked her attempt to steal her best friend's potential man. But Egotistic set the record straight. You ask a villain to stage attacks not for kisses. She argued that made no sense, since he isn't a real villain anyway. She demanded to know, why is Stardust the only one getting the VIP treatment? He had to admit she had a point. He did kind of steal her XP farm by eliminating her designated villain, stunting her growth. In the original timeline, she would be stronger. Feeling a bit guilty, he agreed to help her out. Ciole's eyes lit up. When do we start? Hold your horses, he said. Before any power leveling happens, she owes him a favor. Whenever she talks to Haru, face to face or over the phone, she needs to trash talk him. Constantly. Little does he know, Haru is already heavily crushing on him. Like Haru is glued to his fan club, page 24/7. But Egotistic is oblivious. He just has one goal. He needs Cola to be his biggest hater. Talk smack about him behind his back every chance she gets. The plan is to make Haru despise him. Cola looked at him like he grew a second head. Are you some kind of weird mental masochist? The silence stretched. She still couldn't wrap her head around it. He wants her to roast him in front of Haru. Just so, Haru keeps seeing him as the bad guy. Egotistic doubled down, telling her to go hard. No mercy. Call me a ridiculous narcissist, a psycho dumpster fire, a criminal worse than Dee. Cola hesitated. She was worried that kind of elementary school tactic would backfire, but Egotistic was confident. Trust me, it works. And he knows what he is talking about. He has binged the Stardust series more times than any sane human should. He is the ultimate expert. No one understands Stardust's twisted sense of justice better than he does. Cola finally shrugged and agreed. It seemed like this weird request was the foundation of their entire partnership anyway, so she will give it a shot. That was music to Egotistic's ears. He extended a hand to seal the deal. Cola took it, cementing their chaotic alliance. As their hands touched, she found herself getting lost in his eyes again. The guy is just majestically handsome, okay? But the romantic tension vanished instantly. Poof, he teleported away. Cola felt like an absolute clown. Catching feelings, stupid. Maybe it is just the thrill of the chase. It is the first time she has encountered a fish that refuses to be caught. But one thing is crystal clear now. Egotistic, Korea's #1 villain. She is totally into him. And starting today, her mission is to make him hers, no matter how many other stray cats try to get in the way. Any homewrecker crossing her path is toast. But cut to Haru's place surprise, Cola just pulls up out of nowhere. She is beaming, rocking a suitcase, and ready for a sleepover. Turns out Cola was desperate for some quality Haru time. She hits her with the "can I crash here" request. Haru is chill with it, but she is like, what about your patrol in Busan? Cola waves it off. Busan is just small fry central right now. The heroes ranked B and C can handle the cleanup. Plus, stepping back lets the rookies get some spotlight. It is a win-win situation, really. Her security detail basically dumps her on Haru's doorstep. Haru takes the handoff and wishes them a safe trip back. Cola wastes zero time diving into the bed. She is weirdly hyped that the sheets actually smell like Haru. That comment makes Haru cringe a little. Then Cola shifts gears. Let's get wasted, and reveals a secret stash of booze. Completely ignoring Haru's vibes, she busts out the drinks. Meanwhile, our blonde queen is over here, sniffing herself like, do I really smell weird? Cola pops 2 bottles she smuggled in, and Haru just has to roll with it. A few drinks later, Cola starts trash talking. She calls Egotistic a total scumbag and roasts the fact that he actually has a fan cafe. She claims anyone who joins is mentally deranged. Haru isn't having it. That comment hits way too close to home. Why? Because Haru is basically an admin-level stan. In that very group, Cola keeps ranting that his constant attacks are a massive headache. She bets the guy gets a kick out of all the clout and media chaos. Haru is sweating bullets, listening to Cola drag her dream man through the mud. Cola claims Egotistic has main character syndrome mixed with some cringy middle school edginess. A total diva villain. He thinks he is untouchable, just staging crimes for likes. She straight up says heroes need to permanently delete this guy. Haru thinks, okay, chill, that is harsh. But Cola is not done yet. She labels him a pathetic narcissist. Sure, villains have egos, but Egotistic takes it to a whole new level of toxic. He is obsessed with himself. Haru mentally objects, remembering how he literally risked it all to save her life. Then Cola drops the bomb. The grossest part, he is basically stalking Stardust. Haru definitely does not agree with that take. Cola tries to keep the hate train going, but the liquor wins. She blacks out cold. Haru scoops her up and tucks her into bed. She is left wondering, where did all that shade come from? Honestly, Cola's rant felt totally fake. Haru pulls out her phone, checks her Egotistic fan account, and sighs. Who knows when she will see her chaotic crush again. Flash forward a few days. Chayun and Hyul crush breakfast and grab their gear for school. The squad sends them off with good vibes. Han, who basically just rolled out of bed, mumbles a good luck too. Kim warns her, girl, watch out or your jaw is gonna snap from yawning so hard. She demands to know what kept Han up all night. Han almost slips up and mentions Stardust, but but catches herself just in time. Top secret info. Kim drops the subject because she has got major news. Next raid is Busan next week. The girls are totally lost. Stardust does not patrol that zone. Han asks, why the road trip? Kim explains. They snagged a sponsor in Busan who specifically requested a villain attack right there. Segi is baffled. What kind of psycho corporation orders a terrorist attack on themselves? Little do they know the client is a high-class rank A hero. Cut to Busan 1 week later. Beachgoers start freaking out as a massive airship looms over the city skyline. Everyone scatters. Egostic strikes a pose on the deck, announcing his grand entrance and screaming for Icicle. To spice things up, he starts raining explosive grenades down on the streets. Right on cue, Icicle swoops in. She unleashes her frost magic, neutralizing every single blast like a pro. She confronts Egostic, shouting, "Your reign ends here," but internally, she is screaming. She has been dying to deliver that dramatic hero line. Meanwhile, back at the Hero Association headquarters, the director briefs Stardust. Egostic is in Busan, sit this one out. She hears absolutely none of that. Ignoring orders, she launches herself into the sky, breaking the sound barrier to get to Busan. She is fuming. How dare Egostic show his face to Icicle instead of her? She is being eaten alive by pure green-eyed jealousy. But rewind a few minutes, meet the band Leppies. High above the clouds, the crew is cruising on their flying fortress, the Alice, when Yellow breaks the silence, asking if the others are feeling the hype. Blue looks clueless, so Yellow spells it out. They literally built this beast of a machine, from scratch, and they're seconds away from launching a massive raid on the city. Blue puffs his chest out, brimming with pride over their handiwork, but snaps back, telling Yellow to quit yapping, even though he's secretly geeking out too. Suddenly, Red Leader steps onto the deck. He declares that they've finally made it big. Real pirates just like Luffy and the Straw Hat crew. And screams out to the squad, asking if they're ready to absolutely wreck Busan. The boys roar in agreement, but right as Red winds up for another speech, Egotistic teleports right behind him like a ghost. Instincts kick in. Blue and Yellow instantly lock and load their weapons to defend the captain. Egotistic drops a bombshell. This raid is his show now. Red flips out, sick of this guy acting like the main character. Zap! A massive bolt from Elektra fries their nerves and humbles them instantly. Egotistic smirks, telling them to chill, because they're all on the same team now. Red hates every second of this hostile takeover. But the second they see Elektra charging up round 2, the whole crew suddenly decides they love the plan. Egotistic barks orders, Red takes the rear guard, while Yellow and Blue flank the sides of the ship. It's showtime, people. The attack is launching now, so everyone needs to scramble to their battle stations immediately. These budget pirates have no choice but to fall in line. Egotistic throws Lee Subin onto the helm, leaving Seiji completely shook. She had no idea Subin could pilot a warship. Seiji asks for orders, but Egotistic benches her, sending her to the cabin to chill and watch the fireworks. Then he patches a call through to his employer, confirming they are swooping straight toward Haeundae Beach. Seiji is losing her mind, totally confused, desperate to know which lunatic actually ordered a hit like this. Cut to the present. Icicle lands on the scene to intercept them. Seiji instantly clocks the situation. The client is none other than the Yunsun heiress and A-rank hero herself. Egotistic fires up the live stream announcing his arrival in Busan with maximum theatricality, sending the viewers into a frenzy over the cinematic entrance. He also introduces the Lepis squad, who honestly look like a discount version of the Power Rangers, to the chat. Icicle screams for Egotistic to halt or face a deep freeze. Egotistic, playing the villain role perfectly, pretends he's never met Busan's guardian before. With pure swagger, he launches a volley of grenades to test her reflexes. But Icicle barely blinks. She triggers her powers, flash freezing the explosives mid-air and neutralizing the blast. The chat goes wild for the display, with half the comments already shipping Ice Mango hard. Icicle summons massive ice pillars, surfing them like a highway, straight toward the ship, declaring that no one is escaping today. Egotistic is genuinely impressed by Ciola's acting chops. Meanwhile, the Hero Association buzzes, Stardust telling her Icicle has it under control and to stand down. But Stardust is raging. She refuses to turn back, determined to crash the party no matter what. She hits the afterburners, speeding up to reach the chaos as soon as possible. Back in the sky, Yellow unloads everything he has at Icicle, but she effortlessly blocks with an ice shield and, looking annoyed, counters by freezing him into a human popsicle. The livestream audience is screaming at the display of power. Even Egotistic has to admit, not bad. He never expected her to have this level of precision control. Icicle leaps onto the deck, terrifying Red and Blue, especially when she starts charging up her freeze rays. Egotistic steps in, aiming his guns and blasting her at point-blank range. He can't let her wipe out his minions that easily. Icicle throws up a barrier just in time to deflect the barrage, while simultaneously channeling a massive surge of frost energy into her fingertips, aiming straight for the deck. Egotistic's eyes widen. That got his attention. Icicle smirks as the entire rear of the ship encases in heavy ice, dragging the vessel down with the sudden weight. Egotistic admits he didn't think she'd actually try to sink the boat. Icicle eyes gleaming, is curious about his next move now that his ride is crashing. Egotistic laughs, saying the plan is obviously to run, forcing her to scramble to stop him. While she's sniping at him with ice spears, Egotistic talks to the camera, telling the chat that terrorizing Busan is harder than it looks, and signs off for the day. The second the camera's cut, Icicle walks up to congratulate him on a stellar performance, and Egotistic, he throws the compliment right back, solid acting chops. But the ice structure in the rear totally melted, which means it's time to thaw out the yellow guy stuck in the deep freeze. Icicle immediately drops a, "My bad, sorry for the wait." But suddenly, Egotistic's spidey senses start tingling. Something is definitely off. He spins around to Icicle, panic rising in his voice. "Yo, Icicle, what the actual hell is that in the sky?" He freezes sweat, forming praying. This is just some twisted prank. Icicle squints, tracking the projectile. It's not a bird, it's not a plane. It's stardust incoming like a heat-seeking missile. And judging by that death glare, she is absolutely livid. Pure rage. Cue the instant panic attacks for both of them. Oh 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 oh. Oh 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 oh. Oh oh oh. Egostic clocks the getaway boat peeling out. He is gone. Meanwhile, Icicle, sweating bullets, stammers. Stardust, aren't you supposed to be guarding Seoul? Why are you in Busan? Stardust, dead silent. She just stares, radiating an aura of pure disappointment over the chaos that just went down. Icicle tries to play it cool. "Hey look, I totally had these villains handled. You didn't need to come all this way." Stardust ignores the flex and cuts straight to the chase. "What were you whispering to Egostic about?" Icicle feigns shock. "You saw that pff? No, he provoked me. I was just clapping back with some trash talk. Nothing deep swear. Just a couple of insults, you know. Definitely not plotting anything." Stardust starts powering up her fury limitless. "I saw you smiling, Icicle. Don't lie to me. Explain. Now." Icicle keeps her poker face locked in. "We were mocking each other. Just banter. Come on, I'm a pro hero. I'd never vibe with a sleazy womanizing villain like Egostic. Gross." The problem, Stardust isn't buying it. She says nothing, pivots and prepares to hunt down her beloved nemesis, to get the truth out of him personally. Icicle panics and grabs her arm. "Wait, are you seriously gonna chase him right now?" Stardust's eyes go ice cold. "Let go. This is priority one." Icicle knows if she lets go, it's game over. If Egostic slips up and gives a different excuse, they are all doomed. She needs a lie fast. "You can't. He warned me he'd nuke all of Busan if we tried to follow him. We can't risk it. As a hero, you have to put the citizens' safety first." That hits home. Stardust hesitates, grinds her teeth, and stands down. "Fine. Back to Seoul." She bids a stiff farewell to Icicle. Icicle waves weakly. "Text me when you land." As soon as Stardust is gone, she collapses. "Holy crap, that situation just shaved 10 years off my lifespan." She catches her breath, wondering what that whole vibe was about. She looks at the fleeing boat, then back at Stardust's fading trail, and the realization hits her like a truck. Oh my god, Stardust is totally crushing on Egostic. That is actually adorable. Meanwhile, mid-flight, Stardust is replaying the scene in 4000K resolution inside her head. Seeing those two looking friendly, her blood boils. Egostic is her personal villain, hers alone. Back off. Cut to Egostic, crashing through his front door, totally gassed. Han is like, "Whoa, back already." Little do they know the very fabric of their reality is shifting. We just went from gritty seinen action to a full-blown rom-com. Hours later, the news is already dissecting the drama. Breaking news sectors are buzzing about a shift in Egostic's emotional state, the anchor announces. He usually only has eyes for Stardust, but today he was focused on Icicle. A so-called emotional expert pops up on screen claiming Egostic has unlocked a new romance route. The fact that he pointed at her is definitive proof. He never points at his sidekick Electra like that. But with heroine Icicle, different story. Seoji is watching this, absolutely fuming. Fake news, trash TV. Though, that explains why Kim does whatever he wants, she mutters. Han nods in agreement. Yup, totally makes sense. Meanwhile, Kim Egostic himself is sitting there, totally clueless. Wait, what did I do? The girls stand up. Han commands, "We are eating all the remaining mango ice cream, now." Kim is baffled. Okay. Suddenly, Lee Subin slides in, shoving a bowl of mango ice cream at him. But the look in her eyes, pure murder. She is not happy about him rizzing up another heroine. Kim just gulps and starts eating. Best to stay quiet. Seriously gonna chase him right now? Stardust's eyes go ice cold. Let go. This is priority one. Icicle knows if she lets go, it's game over. If Egostic slips up and gives a different excuse, they are all doomed. She needs a lie fast. "You can't. He warned me he'd nuke all of Busan if we tried to follow him. We can't risk it. As a hero, you have to put the citizens' safety first." That hits home. Stardust hesitates, grinds her teeth, and stands down. Fine. Back to Seoul. She bids a stiff farewell to Icicle. Icicle waves weakly. Text me when you land. As soon as Stardust is gone, she collapses. Holy crap, that situation just shaved 10 years off my lifespan. She catches her breath, wondering what that whole vibe was about. She looks at the fleeing boat, then back at Stardust's fading trail. And the realization hits her like a truck. Oh my god, Stardust is totally crushing on Egostic. That is actually adorable. Meanwhile, mid-flight, Stardust is replaying the scene in 4000K resolution inside her head. Seeing those two looking friendly, her blood boils. Egostic is her personal villain, hers alone. Back off. Cut to Egostic, crashing through his front door totally gassed. Han is like, whoa, back already. Little do they know the very fabric of their reality is shifting. We just went from gritty seinen action to a full-blown rom-com. Hours later, the news is already dissecting the drama. Breaking news sectors are buzzing about a shift in Egostic's emotional state, the anchor announces. He usually only has eyes for Stardust, but today he was focused on Icicle. A so-called emotional expert pops up on screen claiming Egostic has unlocked a new romance route. The fact that he pointed at her is definitive proof. He never points at his sidekick Electra like that. But with heroine Icicle, different story. Seoji is watching this, absolutely fuming. Fake news, trash TV. Though, that explains why Kim does whatever he wants, she mutters. Han nods in agreement. Yup, totally makes sense. Meanwhile, Kim Egostic himself is sitting there, totally clueless. Wait, what did I do? The girls stand up. Han commands, we are eating all the remaining mango ice cream, now. Kim is baffled. Okay. Suddenly, Lee Subin slides in, shoving a bowl of mango ice cream at him. But the look in her eyes, pure murder. She is not happy about him rizzing up another heroine. Kim just gulps and starts eating. Best to